Good evening, West Orange, and welcome to our January 22nd council meeting. Madam Clerk.
This is to inform the general public of this meeting is being held in compliance with Section 5 of the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975. The annual notice was emailed to the Star Ledger and filed in the Township Clerk's office on September 26, 2018, and published in the West Orange Chronicle on October 4, 2018. Councilwoman Castellino?
Present.
Councilman Krakowiak?
Present.
Councilwoman Matute Brown?
Present.
Councilwoman McCartney?
Present.
Council President Garino.
Present. Thank you, Madam Clerk. I hope everyone has been nice and roasty toasty and cuddling around the family hearth and, you know, when your children and everybody. So I hope you're all keeping warm and safe, and it's good to have you with us tonight, and to my council colleagues. First up on the agenda tonight is Chairperson of the Human Relations Commission, Ms. Tammy Williams, and bringing the 2018 Human Relations Commission Annual Report. Welcome, Tammy.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor.
Oh, that way's coming.
Two more copies.
We need two more copies. On candidates on two.
No. Councilwoman Castellino and myself for my files. Thank you. Oh, okay, good, thank you.
Hi. Tammy, before you start, if you would allow me, I just want to say that it was such a moving ceremony yesterday, and it was such a great showing of our community's, you know, fulfillment of Dr. King's wishes, and what you brought to yesterday's event, and the community, the children, the dancing, the singing. I just want to commend you and the HRC on a truly fantastic and heart-moving event. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We appreciate that. So I am Tammy Williams. I live at 16 Hillside Avenue, and I am the chairwoman of the Human Relations Commission, which was established in 1992 and is charged to develop and implement programs and initiatives that encourage a positive and constructive dialogue within the township about diversity-related issues. The Commission encourages the inclusion of all people and is involved in community-building tasks and strategies that enhance and sustain respect among different groups. Through the years, the HRC has played an integral role in fostering diversity within our community, and this is the annual report which captures the activities of the HRC, and it should say 2018, so I apologize for that. I'll correct that electronically. The HRC meets on the fourth Mondays monthly in the Town Hall Meeting Room 109. Meetings are open to the public. Our annual budget is $5,100, and the HRC hosted and or participated in 13 events in 2018 and utilized the majority of those funds with an ending balance of $153.94. The following events were sponsored or supported by the HRC. In 2018, we did a Human Relations Commission calendar. The Commission produced a township calendar for 2018 and distributed over 1,000 calendars to members of the community. Ads from local businesses supported the production costs for the calendar, and the listed businesses purchased ads in the calendar. In January 15, 2018, we hosted our MLK celebration at the Life Christian Church. The keynote speaker was Tamara Harris, and 2018 honorees were Janice Johnson Diaz, Elizabeth Redwine, Lou Mignon, and Eric and Monique Pryor. Also honored were Lieutenants Charles Bryant, the first African-American lieutenant, Sergeant George Lopez, the first Puerto Rican sergeant, both of the West Orange Police Department, and Carol Hobson, who is an African-American female pilot. The Discovery Twins co-hosted the event, and over 250 guests attended. The HRC also participated on January 20th at the Women's March in New Jersey and Morristown to celebrate the achievements of women. The goals of the march were to empower every human who participates and to stand up for their beliefs. We also hosted on February 22nd a book signing for resident and young activist Marley Diaz. It was held at Roosevelt Middle School. Over 90 guests attended, and she was interviewed on stage by Chairwoman Tammy Williams and the Township Public Information Officer Susan Anderson. Books were ordered by the HRC and sold to the public for a reduced rate, and Marley signed all the books. In March, for Women's History Month, the HRC created a Women of West Orange video from women in and around town. Members from the Township Council, the administration, the police department, and local residents helped create the video. It was posted on the HRC Facebook page and has been viewed over 2,500 times. The video was produced by Justin McClure, complimentary. St. Patrick's Day Parade, we also participated in the annual St. Patrick's Day Parade. Commissioners walked in the parade, and we also drove a car with the banner attached. In May, we tried several times, at least 3, to host a community softball game. Unfortunately, each day was rained out. The West Orange Police Department was to play the West Orange Fire Department, and other local neighborhoods and churches all had teams ready to go. The community response and interest suggest that this will be a good activity to promote camaraderie in the community. We also participated in the West Orange Street Fair on June 2nd. This year we did not do a separate booth. We sat with the Office of the Mayor and distributed information to the public. In August, we participated in the God, Science, and Arts program, which is hosted at Holy Trinity Church. The HRC members volunteered with the church to assist this program, which was held Saturday monthly in the month of July through August. Various commissioners volunteered with the program. We also participated with the United Presbyterian Church for Voices of Diversity on September 22nd. This was an afternoon of song, dance, and words of wisdom from various community leaders. And this was also a very well-attended event, and it was held at the church, United Presbyterian. On October 1st, we partnered with the West Orange Schools for a town-wide recognition of bullying prevention, and we encouraged all residents, and especially the students, to wear blue. This was very successful and brought awareness to youth bullying. On October 12th, the HRC hosted an evening of senior line dancing at the Rent-A-House. About 30 residents participated, and the class was taught by Candy Boyd, who is a professional dancer on Broadway. The Commission hopes to sponsor this event monthly in 2019. After the shooting massacre in Pittsburgh, we held a candlelight vigil on October 30th. Of course, we all recall that 11 people died and 6 additional people were wounded. We joined with our Jewish brothers and sisters to support them during this very difficult time. The candlelight vigil was held on the steps of Town Hall, and we witnessed approximately 400 residents come together for this event. Ministers, pastors, and rabbis each spoke against this senseless violence. Township officials, assemblymen, and former Governor Cody all gathered to support this event. Shannon Gaddens was elected as the HRC secretary in October of last year. She joined the commission as an appointment of former Councilman Victor Cirillo. The commission has a very active Facebook page and utilizes social media for events, meeting notices, and to highlight diversity. The commission did not do a calendar for 2019. A calendar was created and sold by another township organization. The commission canceled the voicemail line in December to minimize expenses. The cost was $50 monthly and only received 3 calls in 2018 regarding business. Other calls were sales and solicitation calls. The chairwoman's cell phone number is used as the primary point of contact for 2019 or until we can identify a less expensive option. The HRC would like to thank the township, all departments, employees, citizens, and especially the appointed commissioners who support the commission. United, we will continue to bridge the path to diversity, acceptance, and cooperation and respect among West Orange residents and beyond. It has been my pleasure to lead this commission for the past 3 years, and I look forward to serving our community in 2019. Thank you.
Tammy, thank you very much, and thank you for the hard work. Before you leave, I just want to know, do any of my council colleagues have any questions for Ms. Williams? Any comments or?
Yeah, keep up the good work.
Yeah.
Thank you, Janet.
Keep it going.
Thank you for coming tonight. Okay, next up on our agenda is the Downtown West Orange Alliance budget presentation. No, you're not going to put it on my face again. Okay. If my colleagues would like to sit out there, we can watch the presentation.
So I'm Megan Brill, the Executive Director for the Downtown Alliance. I would like to mention that there are some volunteers and trustees in the room, Ron Raymond and Cherie Harrison and Elmina Ziza. They are pretty much go everywhere with me and do everything that we need to do downtown. So we couldn't do anything without all of you, so we very much appreciate. Okay, so our 2019 budget presentation. I threw this slide in pretty much for Cindy's benefit, just because she knew she was unaware of the whole structure of who we are and what we do, and this is only Michelle's second budget, so I wanted to at least provide some overview information. The Downtown Alliance is excited about 2019. We're looking forward to celebrating the great businesses and restaurants within the downtown corridor. Also, is Stacy still in the room? We have another volunteer, Stacy Reese, is here with us. All right. So, the structure of the Downtown Alliance is we have an 11-member board of trustees. 4 of them are elected by the property and business owners, and the other 6 are elected by our township officials. So, all of them together hire the executive director, and we all work together in making the Downtown Alliance support our businesses. So, the Main Street corridor consists of 180 property owners. 21 own more than one location within the corridor, which is interesting. 48 business and property owners live in West Orange. 66 actually have their business in the property that they own, similar to John McElroy and O'Hara Electric and Woman's Auto Body. We have 10 properties that have second floor space, which is not your typical downtown storefront, but they are part of who we are and what we do, and we serve them as well. We have 8 other multi-use spaces and 4 municipal parking lots. That is our corridor. Okay, so the 2018 budget was $207,000. We ended up using $191,596.52. We pretty much stayed within each of the budget versus the actual amount that we used. So we had a little bit left over, and but not as much as past years. So we definitely spent more money. Our biggest accomplishment must be the murals. We've been talking about the downtown murals for a long time. It was difficult to get our business and property owners to be willing to allow us to paint something on the side of their building, and it pretty much came to fruition this summer with the help of Mike Brick and our resident Ryan that helped design these 2 logos, these 2 murals, and they are at 271 and 284, which is pretty much in the middle of Torrey Corner, right by Schneider Hardware and City Workshop and the jewelry store. Here's our chairman, John McElroy, is walking in. Okay, so our 2019 budget. We increased the budget by $3,000 from last year. So we have 101 is in property assessments, 40,809 is our township contribution, 28,000 is in kind, it's in red because it's not real cash. 20,000 is carryover funds from this past year, and $48,000 is total fundraising. Usually I break out the street fair and the 5K, and now we keep adding stuff like Restaurant Untitled and a harvest show. So we collectively are going to raise about $48,000. That's at least our goal. And we get about $100 in interest. So all those numbers together equal $238. Take out the $28,000 in kind, because it's not cash, and you get $210,000 is our total budget for this coming year, which again is an increase of $3,000. So the budget areas of change, like I said, it's a $3,000 increase. The admin and office operations will see an increase of $3,000. Was $72,000 last year, it's $75,000 this year. That $3,000 is not in salary for me. It's in office support and extra office help, like our summer intern. We have a new gal that is in high school that's been working with us. So she's pretty cheap, but we do have to pay her something. Insurance and professional services is exactly the same as it was last year. Economic revitalization is the same, and you can see that we didn't spend, you'll see that in the next slide. So we didn't spend any of the economic revitalization money, and so we've kept that budget line the same. Marketing and promotion, we decreased that by $2,000 to make it $57,000. And design and visual improvements is the same as it was last year. And organization is $5,000. We increased that by $2,000 this year to accommodate for some of the extra training and our association with downtown New Jersey, in addition to Main Street, New Jersey. Okay, so at the top of this slide, which is a little cut off, is these are some of our new businesses. So we have CMP, which is in St. Mark's. Brown Bear is a restaurant that's in Eagle Rock. Hot Tech, their logo is kind of long. They're a phone store. Prime Jewelry is our new jewelry store. And the probably most popular restaurant that just opened is Nicholas Anthony's. We also have Willow and Olivia that feels like they've been around for a long, long time, but they've really only been here about 8 months. And Zulu, which is a brand new restaurant that took over the space at Stone Depot. Vienna Music School, that's their second location, which is interesting, and I love their new sign. And Savvy Maine by Savonia, she's our new hair salon that's in the valley. So that's just, there are some other newer additional businesses that are here, but these are definitely the ones that people want to come downtown for. So I highlighted them. New events this year, we're doing a Harvest Festival, which will be October 12th, and we're bringing back Downtown Thursdays. We're gonna highlight Thursdays in June, July, and August. Part of what we do each year depends on who is in our circle, who are the folks that are with us and around us. Because we have Ron Raymond and Shireen Elmina and Stacy, we have the ability to really pull off events very well. So I am not as intimidated to do stuff when they're around. So we are adding 2 more events back into our schedule. In addition, we're going to keep the Western Orange Street Fair, the Idol concert, Mayor's 5K, which is a big fundraiser for us, as well as for the Mayor's Sunshine Fund, Breakfast with Santa, and the Holiday Open House, and Small Business Saturday, which we always do, but we're also going to kick off our Holiday Lights Contest, which was something that we did new this year. That's a picture of our street fair and a couple of things that we've done at the bottom. Okay, so our business mix, this is something new. There's over 45 different kinds of businesses in our downtown. Over 300 stores collectively, restaurants and businesses. We have 9 health and wellness stores. We have 21 different restaurants. We have 15 other takeout stores like Subway and Pizza Hut. We have 1 each jewelry store, phone store, shoe repair, tailor, and a dog groomer. It's not a tailored dog groomer. There should be a comma in there. We also have 4 bakeries, which is something new. We had Supreme Bakery for such a long time, and over the last 2 years, we've added 3 other bakeries. And there's a bakery restaurant coming in any month now. So we'll have 5. We have 7 banks, which is a lot of banks, 4 barber shops, 21 beauty salons, 5 nail salons, which sounds like a lot of, people, professional services, everyone's working on their hair and their nails. But when we're out and about, those are the stores that are the most busiest, right? On Saturday, when we're out walking around, the chairs are full, the street is packed. They're the businesses that are really getting a lot of the foot traffic that helps drive the rest of the economy around it. We have 2 florists, and we have over 20 stores that have been in business over 30 years. I was going to list them all, but it's a lot of stores. John at Select is, 35 years? Cash Realty is going on 35 years. There's a lot of stores. O'Hara, Willman's Auto Body, a lot of stores that are really been here for a very long time, and we honored them, in this year. Okay. That's 2016. Oh, that's it. I didn't change that. All right. I tried to make it short and sweet.
Are there any questions when we have this screen set up on your
It's a little different because there's going to be a hearing, so.
Public hearing is scheduled for 7 for the public meeting. So I will hold on questions.
Okay. Then we'll hold to the public meeting. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ms. Grover.
Good, I'm going to leave and you can answer all the questions. Thank you.
Very good job. Thank you all for coming. Exciting things on the downtown, new developments. And I think one thing is that if you got about one merchant that's been on Main Street longer than anybody else is Schneider Hardware. Almost over 90 years being in business in downtown, and it's great dedication. I mean, it was always a pleasure, talking to Mr. Schneider, and now that he is gone, always having the boys, Roger and Gerald Schneider there, who are very dedicated to our community and very active in our organizations, particularly the Chamber of Commerce and Rotary. So thank you. Thank you to the Downtown Alliance. We'll start our public meeting. Madam Clerk? Oh, sorry. Sorry. I'm good. I'm sorry. I'm getting ahead of myself. Okay.
Okay, that's what I'm here for, Council President.
Okay. Updates on redevelopment. Mr. Sayers.
Redevelopment, everything is going well. They've rented over 100 units now in the Battery Building, from what I understand. The only issue that I still have is they have not submitted their plan for Phase 2 yet, and I am still working on trying to get that submitted as quickly as possible. I am talking into the microphone. Can you hear me? Okay. Okay.
Relax, everybody.
I'll start all over again. Okay?
Okay.
There's over 100 units rented in the Battery Building right now, and they're doing very well with the rentals. And the only issue that I have is they still have not submitted their plan for Phase 2 yet, and we're working on helping them to get that done as quickly as possible. Their engineers and their architects are working on the second plan.
Okay. Mr. Sayers, anything on the retail development? Any?
Again, Councilman, I'm sorry, but I did not discuss the retail with them. I was talking about the rentals in the building, but I promise you, I will do that, and I will find out that question that answer for you.
Okay. And so far there's 100 units leased in the development. And how many are they seeing every week going in? How many new?
He says they're averaging anywhere between 5 and 10 a week. And although at last meeting I thought they said it was either 80 or 85, and now they said they're almost up to 100. So
Yeah.
over 2 weeks they came in with at least 15 more rentals.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from my colleagues? Councilwoman Castellino.
Yeah, I'd spoken with Catherine at the leasing office, just for my colleagues, not the public, just if you could respond, just to see if you could make it to the tour. You should have saw the email. I believe is it Thursday, February 7th, maybe?
Yes,
Yeah.
I meant to mention that. She did send out a new email last week
Yes.
about having a tour in the building.
Okay.
So, but she, talking with her, very excited, she's lots of interest in the rest of the building, so I can't wait to go on the tour, and I see most of it is completed, so
Right.
it should be an exciting tour for the council. It's for the council. They're going to give us a tour of the complex.
Thank you,
So
Councilwoman.
please respond to your emails. Thanks.
Councilwoman Matute Brown?
I just had a question with respect to this particular phase, and I'm sure this has been discussed before. With respect to affordable housing in this particular phase of the development project, are there any affordable housing units?
I'm not sure if there are in this phase.
No.
Not in this phase.
I'm pretty sure they're not in this phase. They're going to be in either phase 2 or phase 3.
Okay, thank you.
When they made their presentation, it's like there's 0 in phase 1, but there are units in the phase 2.
Yeah, they have to put some units in there, or you can sell them off, but they are putting units in either phase 2 or phase 3. I'm not sure exactly which phase it is.
Yeah, I remember phase 3.
Phase 3, you might be right.
Can I just follow up to
She
that?
said 2, you said 3. All right.
Just a follow-up to the affordable housing units, can you just expand a little bit upon, or they can sell them off? I know that we are still trying to meet a COA credit, so do we typically sell them off? Does that mean that other municipalities buy them, or?
We don't sell them off.
Oh, I
The
thought that's
owner-
what I heard you say.
No, the
I
owner of
apologize.
the property
Oh,
can do that.
The owner of the property.
They can either sell them to the township or sell them to another development within the township.
Okay,
Within the township.
within the township.
But they're not doing that. They're doing
Okay.
their
All right,
own.
That was a little concerning when I heard that, but
No,
thank you
they're
for
doing-
clarifying.
They're doing their own.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councilwoman McCartney?
Just positively, that I did go on one of the open house tours, and a young couple that I met had just moved in from Vermont. So I just think it's interesting, their marketing and the people that they're reaching.
No, it was good. And I took the same tour with you, and it was really enjoyable to see what the workmanship and the detail and the amenities are just phenomenal. You have to go take a look at it to really, plus the view from the top floor. It's a fantastic
They
view.
are beautiful apartments. If you go
They're
out and
huge.
take a look at them, they're beautiful.
They're huge. Councilman Krobiak?
Yes, thank you. I wanted to ask you a little bit more about Phase 2, because if my memory is correct, they were required under the contract to submit these plans back in, I think, September 1st.
Correct.
So it's been 3.5 months that they've been unable to fulfill their obligation under the contract.
That's correct.
When do you expect them to meet that obligation?
I am hoping within the next 30 to 45 days. And part of the issue that happened was when they had sold, I can't remember the company from...
Martin Press?
No.
Dune?
Dune. When they sold off to the new company, they brought in their own engineers, their own architects, so they're now putting together the plan. I did have a conversation with them last week, and they said that they were looking at pretty much over the next 30 or 45 days to have the plan completed.
Is there any consideration by the administration about perhaps issuing them a notice of default?
No, not at this point.
Will there be one if 30, 45 days comes and goes and they still
I mean,
have a
that's a
problem?
discussion I'm going to have with the mayor, but right now, we're not discussing defaulting them.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Thank you, Mr. Sayers.
You're welcome.
Much appreciated. Moving right along, Council Liaison. Councilman Krobiak?
None for me right now.
Okay. Councilwoman McCartney?
Okay, let's see. We can start with the West Orange Arts Council. Their monthly meeting is coming up on February 7th at 7 o'clock. We meet at 551 Valley Road at the West Orange Arts Center. The Afro-Cuban Folklore Art Exhibit is still up. That will be on till January 27th, Alberto Hernandez. The Classic Film Festival is well underway. That is 2 o'clock at the AMC Theater each Sunday afternoon. There is an empowerment program coming up, learning the meaning, the components, and the signs of domestic violence and prevention on Saturday, February 16th from 12 to 4. please go to woarts.org to find out more information. Everyone is invited to the Chamber State of the Town Address, the Mayor's State of the Town Address. This is on Wednesday, February 6th at 8 o'clock at the Wilshire Grand Hotel. WestOrangeChamber.com for more information and tickets. Planning Board, we have our open public meeting on January 29th to review the re-examination of the master plan. That will be at Liberty Middle School at 7 o'clock. Planning Board meets the first Wednesday of every month here in council chambers. And the Environmental Commission, we have our monthly meetings. Ours will be January 30th, next Wednesday at 7 o'clock. We meet in the conference room here. And I am hosting a Sustainable Jersey recertification as a Sustainable Jersey Coordinator for West Orange next Wednesday at 1 o'clock. The conference room is reserved for a webinar. Anyone is invited to participate. Our recertification expires in December.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilwoman Matute Brown?
With respect to the liaison appointments, just so that we're all on the same page, because I'm as new to this to some of the faces that I see out there, and I know sitting out there, I often question what a council liaison. So my appointment to the council, or as a council liaison, one of them is to the Municipal Alliance, and just learning what that program is, and it is to apply for grants for funds to help with things that affect our, as far as crisis, drug crisis, interventions and things like that. So it is something that I'm just getting familiar with. Jack just gave me, Mr. Sayers just gave me a line item as to where the funds go, what is allocated, and I'd like to bring as best as I can voices of the community to listen to what those needs are and where you feel assessments need to be made. And I look forward to hearing from you to help me better do my appointment as a liaison. That's it.
Thank you, Councilwoman.
You're welcome.
Councilwoman Castellino.
Thank you, Council President. On January 26, our West Orange Fire Department is hosting a CPR certification for West Orange residents, free for 16 years or older, at the West Orange Emergency Operations Center at 25 Mount Pleasant Avenue. Captain Stewart, or Mount Pleasant Place rather. Captain Stewart, you could contact him at 973-419-3808 if you are interested in certification for CPR. So we thank you to our firefighters for always being out there and working with our community. Excited to share with my colleagues, we have some new faces in the audience. For the past year, we've been looking to apply for a grant with Partners in Health through our Senior Citizens Services. We had the Senior Citizen Survey well over a year ago. We received information back from the survey last year, which we shared with the public, and targeting areas of need. So we were invited to apply for the grant. So there's many steps involved in the process, and it is very time-consuming. So we're at the point where we were invited to apply. We had to do a letter of intent. We were invited and accepted. So by the end of the month, our health department and our senior service departments working diligently on that grant. So hopefully all goes well. We will be accepted, granted the grant, and could give you better details on it when that occurs. So I just want to, just shout out to Mrs. Duffy, Ms. DeNova, and Susan Iovino for working really hard, collecting letters of intent. So there's a lot to the process. It's very tedious. These grants aren't always as easy to go out and obtain because then everyone would be up to get them, but they've been really putting in a lot of extra hours to get that done for us. So hopefully it'll be worth the wait. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Just want to do a big shout out to, of course, the West Orange Department of Public Works and, of course, the Essex County Department of Public Works, because there were some issues with the roadways, with the freezing and everything else, especially along Pleasant Valley Way. But I must say, just from driving along, myself and other residents and neighbors, that the roadways were in better shape than we could have had. So my big thank you, of course, to our Township Department of Public Works and the County Department of Public Works. And speaking about Department of Public Works and all that, is that the Pedestrian Safety Advisory Board had a great January meeting, good presentations. The 15 points that we've been talking about, the points that we'd like to promote throughout the township and the rest of the county are being finalized and should be done within the next week, and then will be sent to legal and then be sent to the council as a resolution to promote the 15 points of traffic and pedestrian safety. I also like to say that we now have 4 student members of the Pedestrian Safety Advisory Board from the West Orange High School, freshman, sophomore, and junior, and a senior. Who will be working with members of our board, who will be working on projects that we deem are good projects for them to work on, looking at their expertise, working with members of the administration, departments, and getting a good feel and bringing more information back to us, particularly working with our traffic engineer, Mike Dammenmiller, who really is one of the backbones of our organization, to get a feel for traffic lighting, street lighting. We were going to have a test last week, but it was just the weather wasn't good, so we're going to replan that, reschedule that. So also, from the Pedestrian Safety Advisory Board, the good news is that the crash rate in the Township of West Orange is down 15.7% over last year. Nice. And according to the traffic consultants, the reason why ours and Montclair's are down is because we're the only 2 towns that have pedestrian safety advisory boards. And the work that we've done and the work that we've done with our police departments and the county and our residents is that we've promoted traffic safety. I mean, there's more that we have to do and more that we will do, but according to our traffic consultants, Andy Anderson from the county, who was also in the prosecutor's office at one time, and Mike Dammenmiller, the numbers are down because we're doing the work that we need to do. And I like to bring those numbers down. And like I said, every member of our board, Mike Dammenmiller, Roz Moskowitz, Belsky, all the members of our board, the Bunlotties, it's such a great, energy building of these people who've come together, and we're bringing all these ideas to the township, to the county, and we're working in a cooperative effort. So I really want to do a big shout out to our board. It's really, really exciting, and hope to have more, reducing our traffic crashes even more so, and making, of course, working more on getting a gold award next year for our safe routes to school, and a big shout out to Lori Kaffner for that. So we're really excited about that. And again, to my Downtown West Orange Alliance and the great things that are coming out of the downtown, the new businesses, the real marketing efforts and all the new volunteers. It's really great to see the community come together. And please, you should come to our meetings. Make your voices heard. If you have an idea, come on down. We're not going to throw you out. These are open public meetings. I'm sorry? I forget when's our next public meeting, Ms. Sproul? I don't have my calendar with me. When's the next meeting, Megan? The 19th? Thank you. Okay, the 3rd Wednesday of every month is the meetings for the Downtown Alliance. And the next meeting...
Time and place.
I'm sorry?
Time and place.
I was talking about pedestrian safety.
I'm at the Downtown Alliance, sorry. Pedestrian Safety is the 13th of February, is our next meeting. That I always know in the back of my head. So it's the next pedestrian safety meeting is February 13th. It will be held, and thank you, Mr. Puglisi, at the Essex County Educational Center at Turtleback Zoo, which is a great facility for that.
The time.
7:30. Thank you. And that's all I have to say. Madam Clerk?
This is to inform the general public that this meeting is being held in compliance with Section 5 of the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975. The annual notice was emailed to the Star Ledger and filed in the Township Clerk's office on September 26, 2018, and published in the West Orange Chronicle on October 4, 2018. Councilwoman Castellino?
Present.
Councilman Krokoviac?
Present.
Councilwoman Matute Brown?
Present.
Councilwoman McCartney?
Present.
Council President Garino.
Present.
Will everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? The council is now in their public meeting.
Madam Clerk, I wonder if it'd be proper, if I can, if we have, anyone has any questions for the Downtown Alliance budget, could we do that now as part of public comment, or do we want to?
That's up to, yeah.
I mean, I'd like to get that.
Stay for the whole meeting?
Right. So, one, if anybody has any questions, just for the Downtown West Orange Alliance budget, raise your hand and I'll call you up and you can ask your questions. No?
Nothing.
Really? Megan did a great job, huh? Okay. Do any of my colleagues have any questions for Megan Brooke?
Well, you're
What?
going to do a public hearing when you do the resolutions.
Okay.
So I would do public comment now and then get to the agenda. And then
Okay.
that's when the council
Okay.
can ask their
Gotcha.
questions.
Okay. All right, now open public comment. Anybody have any questions for the Township Council? Raise your hand and I'll call you up. And yes, ma'am. Good evening. Just speak your name and address into the microphone.
Good evening. My name is Terry Trigg-Scales, 85 Clarkin Drive. It's interesting that you were talking about pedestrian safety because that's my concern tonight. I live in Crystal Woods on the Eagle Rock side. So I frequent the intersection of Prospect and Eagle Rock throughout the day. I've been told that that's probably one of the busiest intersections in Essex County, and it's much busier now that CVS has opened its superstore. And so I'd like to ask you to ride along with me. I'm coming from Essex Green, so I'm going north on Prospect, and I decide I want to go to CVS. Well, I shouldn't make that left turn off of Prospect because it's a double yellow line, and it's also the left turn lane for Eagle Rock. So if I stop there, I'm going to risk breaking the law or getting broadsided by the traffic coming the other way. So then my other option is to go to the other entrance, which would be on Eagle Rock and Woodhull. But when I get there, it says no left turn. And so I posit the question, how does one get into CVS? Do I go into Kim's Sushi and make a U-turn? Do I go into Whole Foods and make a U-turn? The other issue is that a lot of people do make that left turn lane off of Prospect, not even for the purpose of shopping in CVS, but for the purpose of bypassing that light. And they fly through there. I have seen pedestrians scurrying out of the way. I've seen cars almost get hit. And so I just raise this as a question. And I also really think we need to do another traffic study now that CVS is up and running. It's crazy out there, and I'm just so afraid that someone's going to be injured. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Scales. Thank you very much for your comments. Yes, ma'am.
Nope.
Who had, did you had your hand? Please, yes, you're next, ma'am. Thank you. Welcome.
Hi.
Just speak your name and address into the microphone. Thank you.
Absolutely. Andrea Smith Morgan, 17 Luddington Road. Good evening. Currently, I am a teacher at Montclair High School, and I have been for 24 years, and I am the founder of a nonprofit organization called Mindful Awareness Academy for Children. My goal this evening is twofold. One, to introduce the West Orange community to my extraordinary nonprofit, and two, to work on creative solutions with the township to providing a space for our youth community, continuing with the energy of what we just saw today of downtown. What has Mindful Awareness Academy done thus far? We received a grant from UBS Financial for $10,000 for our summer ELA boot camp, which was held in Montclair at the Grace Presbyterian Church. This afforded students of Montclair, West Orange, Clifton, and Bloomfield the opportunity to receive free instructions for 2 weeks at the end of August. We received a $700 grant from the Montclair Fund for Excellence for books. We received an in-kind donation from Upcycle for students to receive free computers. I've communicated with Elizabeth Vinziano, the LA supervisor of the West Orange Public Schools, offering this free program to our West Orange students. And we completed our first ever fundraising video. Now, MAC provides English language arts, social and emotional programs for high school students. This academy works in conjunction with local high schools to address the achievement gap. All programs are based on a mindful approach to learning. Practicing mindfulness enables us to pay attention to the here and now with acceptance and non-judgment. Our goal, MAC's goal, is to support our high school students of color academically, socially, and emotionally. Our goal is to create environments where students know their brilliance. Our goal is to support students in their ELA, their high honors, their advanced placement, and their honors course. Our goal is to incorporate core mindful principles for achieving greatness, and most importantly, to create connections to meaningful literature. So far, what are the solutions? I attempted last spring to purchase the commercial property at 222 Main Street. Unfortunately, hard lenders is not the way to go. I lost $15,000. I dusted myself off, and here I am again. I reached out to the seller's attorney by the name of Mitch Berger, explaining my vision for MAC. He told me that he would pass this information on to his clients. It's been a couple of weeks since I've heard. I want to create a space for our youth community. 222 Main Street can be that space. My vision includes a library, a computer room, large group instructional spaces, meditation, and access to academic support. It is my goal to form a partnership with the district of West Orange to service our students. And as mentioned in the Downtown Alliance presentation, there was no mention of an educational space. In continuing with the West Orange vision for expansion, I asked the Town Council if they would consider a sit-down with the owner asking for his plans for selling. Additionally, I would ask the township if they would consider purchasing the building with the idea that MAC or any other organization such as the Boys and Girls Club could contribute a certain percentage towards the cost of rehabilitation. And I've had the opportunity to speak with Paul Cito, and he also welcomes the idea. So I asked a group of middle school and high school students, where do you guys go to hang out? And their responses, now this is from grades 7 through 12, Petco, which I thought was very interesting, Essex Green, Bethany Church, oh, there's no place to go in West Orange, Church Street in Montclair, Maplewood, the ice skating rink, and the reservoir. So with that said, please consider 222 Main Street a place for our students to grow and thrive, and consider 222 being the first business downtown to service our youth. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Yes, anyone else like to speak to the council? Ms. Morelli. Mrs. Morelli? Oh. Good evening.
Hi, my name is Lori Henninger. I live at 7 Glen Road. And sort of in the scheme of things, I realize this is a very small thing. But 2 years ago, those of us in the Glen, in sort of that Gregory neighborhood between Seton Hall Prep and Hazel School, had a meeting with the superintendent of schools. The mayor was not able to make it, the chief of police. It was quite a large meeting about the parking and general pickup situation for Hazel, but the parking for young men in at Seton Hall Prep. For about 6 months, things were really good. They were great. And now we have, slid back to oftentimes not being able to get out of our driveways because people are parking there. The one thing I do want to say is thank you to the police department, because over the last, particularly the last few months, there has been a lot more monitoring of the situation and ticketing. And, you know, I mean, some of the kids drive, Alfa Romeo SUVs. So I know that, I would imagine that the individual tickets probably are not too much of a dissuasion to park there, but it is illegal. And there's a lot of fast driving. So I want to say thank you to the police department for doing that. And I want to very strongly encourage them to keep it up.
Thank you. Thank you for your kind words. Yes, Mrs. Morelli.
Rosary Morelli, Ralph Road, and really I don't want to be here because tonight I'm frustrated and I'm angry. I shouldn't have to be back here, so I'm going to vent my spleen. How many times do I have to come back here to talk about the soliciting ordinance and the revision? I'm taking this as a personal issue. I've been fighting this battle for years. When I first stood here and said we need to change the ordinance because of what's happening to senior citizens. In fact, at that time, a woman in South Jersey, a senior, and one in Virginia were raped and murdered and their cars stolen by door-to-door magazine salesmen. So we put some teeth into our ordinance. Up to this point, I felt it was very good. But if I get complaints from my neighbors, seniors, and otherwise, that they're being solicited after hours, it's dark, and the dispatcher reads to them this ordinance that talks about looking at what time the sun went down the night before in the Star Ledger. Again, for the record, this is a personal issue. You are really abusing a segment of our population because you don't want to change it because I'm here again asking for it. I need to know why it isn't even being changed. And I'm going to lapse into the vernacular. I think I'm being jerked around. I'm not coming back again. This needs to be changed. And you on the council are remiss. You should be pushing for it. Shame on all of you.
Yes, sir. And welcome.
President Corrido, council members, thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Neil Weissman. I live in Lower Manhattan. I'm here on behalf of Complete George, 200 organizations, businesses, and electeds and communities. They're calling on the Port Authority to widen the bike paths on the George Washington Bridge. I'm here to ask for a resolution of support. You have copies of extended remarks. The George is the sole bikeable connector between North Jersey and New York City. It is already terribly overcrowded at 3,700 cyclists a day on weekends, and it has been growing at 10% per year. Over the next 7 years, the Port Authority will rip out and restore the 1931 paths as part of a $2 billion restoration. But unless those paths are widened to comply with national standards, AASHTO, service across the 1 mile span will degrade to walk your bikes. Now, this is going to hobble the growth of cycling across the region for generations, impacting tourism, public health, property taxes, sustainability, and resilience, annually worth hundreds of millions of dollars. Conversely, wider paths will spur the creation of a connected grid such as envisioned in the Bergen Park Master Plan, which would connect all of the parks with bikeways. Now, this is important because while we may have survived the summer of hell, winter is coming, and by that I mean extended, widespread disruptions to bus and train service over the coming decades, resulting from planned upgrades to the bus terminal and Penn Station, plus any number of unplanned weather or man-made events, including, unless we are really lucky, emergency repairs to the Hudson rail tunnels, which would knock out 75% of train service for 200,000 commuters for 2 years. Now, should any of this come to pass, AASHTO-compliant GWB paths could safely sustain 20,000 bike commuters per day, drawing first from communities near the bridge, but reducing congestion and freeing capacity for those further out. Now, at this time, 60 North Jersey municipalities are in support, as well as the Union, Hudson, Bergen, and Passaic freeholders. I would like to add West Orange Township. 2 more points. In case anyone thinks that a Hudson rail tunnel failure is some remote and manageable event, last September, a metal bracket from the ceiling of a tunnel pierced the passenger compartment of a moving train. Had that incident resulted in loss of life, those tunnels would be closed for a very long time without any plan B in place. Now, I understand also, second thing is, I understand that West Orange has a bike plan that hasn't gained traction. The Bergen plan also lay dormant for about a year until I informed the county executive that 40 of his municipalities had called for greater bike capacity across the George Washington Bridge. At this point, he goes, okay, we're going to move forward on the plan. And 3 of those parks are shared with Essex. So that's it. I'm available as a resource. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out.
Madam Clerk, I'm just going to go off script and having us questions. Schwartz is asking us for a proposed resolution to support this. I'd like to be able to let my council colleagues ask a question right now instead of like back and forth, back and forth. So if you don't mind, sir, do any of my council colleagues have a question about this proposed resolution to support this bike path with the George Washington Bridge? Councilman Kukovic?
I'm good with it. I'm good with it.
Councilwoman McCartney?
Thank you, sir, for coming. I saw the email that you had sent to the mayor, and this is quite a bit of information here. If you have a sample resolution that you could send.
We've actually got the New York City Council resolution right there, and I would probably model it off of that.
Okay. We can go from there. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Matute Brown?
No, thank you for your presentation.
Councilwoman Castellino?
I just want to thank you for the information. I need to review it and digest it. But I guess my question is, what is their reasoning for not making it wider?
They're spending the Port Authority is spending $118 million to restore the paths to a pedestrian capacity, to a pedestrian standard, ADA. The ask is that they spend $90 million to build it out to AASHTO, which is actually what it was designed for in the first place. They don't want to spend the $90 million, $45 million per side.
Okay.
That's it. That's the rationale. It's money.
Is it because they don't have the funds, or they just?
Well, it's the Port Authority. They've got a lot on their plate. I don't want them to make them out to be the bad guy. But I think if they do this, they want to know that it's going to be appreciated and valued by both sides of the Hudson. So that's why this is part of that, saying if you do this, it'll be used.
Okay. I see you gave us your email. Thank you. In case I have any questions, so I'll have to research this. I would be prepared to respond now. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I'm very good with this and all that, but I'd also like, if you ever had the time or it would be feasible, I'd like you to come to our pedestrian safety meeting and talk to my board members and try to incorporate what we do and what you're trying to do, and I think would be something very feasible. So this is very exciting. So I appreciate your time coming to the council tonight, and I look forward to speaking to you more, particularly my board.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? Thank you, my colleagues, and thank you, Madam Clerk. I'm sorry? Anyone else? Yes, Mr. Puglisi. I wouldn't forget you, Mr. Puglisi.
Hi, Anthony Puglisi, representing County Executive Joe DiVincenzo. This time of year, we all are very cognizant of how cold it gets, especially the last couple days. We look at various weather forecasts. The one weather prognosticator that I always look at is Essex Ed, our resident groundhog at Turtleback Zoo. So I just want to invite everyone to Turtleback Zoo February 2nd, 11 o'clock. He will give his prediction on whether this cold weather that we're experiencing now is going to last, or whether we'll have better spring-like conditions arriving earlier. There may also be a Super Bowl prediction. I can't say which way it's going to go on either way. So Hope to see you all there.
He's not going to bite anybody, is he?
No. That only happens in New York.
That's true. Thank you very much. Any questions for Mr. Puglisi?
Well,
Couple.
I guess I'll...
No.
While he's here.
In regards to Ms. Scales' comments with, that's a county road with the CVS and the turn.
Yes, I'll talk to our engineers tomorrow about that.
Okay.
I mean, CVS has had that location there for, I guess, a couple of years now. This is the first that I've heard of it. So I'll talk with them tomorrow.
Okay, so I assume that is your domain then you could look
I'll check it out.
Okay, great, thank you.
That's also one of the 15 points is new traffic studies in specific high traffic areas and new development areas. So that's good. It's a good point. Thank you. Anybody? Okay. Anybody else? Yes. Good evening. Just state your name and address in the microphone, please.
Mark Rosenberg, 6 Fernwood Circle. Recently just moved to the community and just wanted to find out from everybody about a recent article in the Chronicle regarding the sale of the Rock Spring Golf Club, and just find out I understand there's been some past conversations. Apologize if this is the wrong forum, but just wanted to get some insight into next steps in terms of this board, whether or not it would be coming up here or would be discussed during the zoning, planning and zoning. I understand there's been past conversations and just trying to understand what's been made public to date.
Thank you. Okay. I'll respond at
Would
the
you like to
end.
answer now, Mr. Sayers?
Thank you.
No?
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Anyone? Yes? Good evening.
Good evening, Claire Silvestri, 20 Grandview Avenue. I'm just wanted to bring up a housekeeping issue about hearing the speakers up here in on the dais and at the podium. I know we have to speak into the microphone, but it seems that in the summertime we have the issue of the blower for the air conditioner. Now all of a sudden I've noticed that this is now the second meeting in a row where the blower is going for the heat. I'm sitting in the back there and I looked up and the thermostat is set for like 76 degrees. I was here for the zoning board meeting last week. The blower was not going and it was perfectly warm in here. And I do think that the blower, I hear it in the back, but I can even hear it up here at this point. And I just would ask for energy efficiency as well. If the council chambers could be set down to, perhaps if we set it down to 72 degrees, the blower would go off and it would be easier for us to hear. People come out to hear. I know that it's not an issue because I've watched the videos online, that it's not a problem. But here in the chambers, the blower going is an issue. And so I'd request if it's possible to perhaps turn down the thermostat and silence the blower. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else wishing to speak to the council? Any other questions? Okay, I'll close public comment and I'll open the floor to my council colleagues. Councilman Kukoviac?
You blessed me with coming to me at the very first, multiple times today, so I'll try to.
I'm just trying to.
I'll try to respond. Ms. Morelli, you are absolutely correct, and I apologize for my role in not getting this done. I will make myself available to you the rest of this week, whatever fits your schedule, except for tomorrow morning, and we will meet. We will work out draft language and we will submit it to legal and to the rest of the council unless you want to go in a different route. But you're absolutely right. You have been talking about this since it was 90 degrees outside, even longer than that. And we do need to get this fixed because once the weather warms up, we'll get a lot more knocking on doors. So I'm available. You have my email address. Give me a couple times. We'll get it done. You're absolutely correct, and I apologize for failing to follow through on that. I would like to hear, thank you, Ms. Silvestri, about bringing up, now that you mention it, I do hear it now, and I'd like to get a feel from the administration about why this seems to be a change and what we can do to try to help people hear a lot better in the council chambers. I was here at the meeting that you just mentioned, and there were people at that meeting who were also yelling out, asking people to speak up. So I'd like to hear from the administration. If not tonight, I don't know whether this is something Mr. Sayers is on the top of his agenda, but perhaps report back by email to the council so we can pass it on, and certainly talk about it at the next council meeting. I know this is an ongoing thing with the acoustics, and we'll just keep pushing along. I want to thank Ms. Trigg-Scales for coming and bringing up that issue. You should also know that in addition to that intersection being, I think, the busiest in the county, it's also one of the most dangerous. The service station to the east across Prospect Avenue is currently before the zoning board to knock down the building, to double the size of the building, and to open a convenience store with gas service, which is likely to even increase the traffic complexity at that intersection. So perhaps that could be part of the discussion about how to make entrance into CVS safer. And I want to thank the other people who spoke tonight. Everybody had some really good points. Ms. Penninger, I was at that meeting. It seemed to be very effective. And perhaps we just need a meeting every 6 to 12 months in the Seton Hall Prep auditorium and get everybody in a room, because it seems to help. Not to defend Seton Hall Prep kids, but you get a new generation each year of new kids who start driving who are not as aware perhaps as they should, and it would be good to get Prep administration to perhaps remind them. That's it. Thank you, Council President.
I'd like to put it to my point, then I'll pass it down if it's okay. Ms. Scales, again, according to my colleague here, thank you. It is an issue that we've asked in our 15 points that we're going to put towards the County of Essex to look into areas that need new traffic studies, that need measurements and alignment. And we built such a great working relationship with the county. I believe this is something that will be easily attended to, and I'm sure Mr. Puglisi will follow up with with the township, with the county engineer, and we can move forward on that. And as we look at other areas and intersections within the county, do realize that West Orange happens to be the home of a lot of the major county roads, and we need to work hard to make them pedestrian safe and vehicularly safe, and to make every business able to get into them safely without making illegal U-turns and illegal movements. So we are working, and we appreciate your comments. Ms. Smith-Morgan, if you need with the downtown, with Main Street, I suggest, have you spoken to Ms. Brill, to our executive director of the downtown? Okay. I believe you should work with them and meet with them and see, they can assist you with moving your proposal forward, and I'm sure Ms. Brill can bring that, plus with the other members of the and I'm glad you're working with Mr. Cito. The community house is a great facility. It's an open house, and it's a great way, and Paul's a very, very workable person, and he likes opening and using his facility for the betterment of the youth of West Orange. Ms. Ettinger, about Glen Road and everything else, and I'm glad, and your comments, it's nice getting positive comments, at the council, and I just hope you keep informing the administration and Mr. Sayers of how things are going, and let us know too. If things are starting to slip, as you say, let's keep the students in a safe way. I'm glad that Mr. Weissman came about the George Washington Bridge, the bike crossing, and I think my colleagues and I need to work on seeing how we can put together a resolution to support this. It's a more part of our complete streets and safe streets, and people that bike and more exercise, it makes us a healthy community, and it does. So I appreciate that, and I appreciate people coming. And Mr. Sayers, do you want to answer the question now about Rock Spring Country Club?
No.
No?
All I'm going to say is
I'm just asking.
We're well aware of the situation. People are working on it, and we're not going to talk about it. So.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. I just want to answer this open. Okay, and I got the answer I'm looking for. Councilwoman Castellino.
Sure.
Sorry.
I do. Yeah, I'm fine.
I'm just moving, I'm just giving people first and second.
That's okay. Thank you, Mrs. Scales, for coming down, and I know I'm sure Mr. Puglisi will address that for you. And also, publicly, I just want to congratulate you on becoming our newest school board member and wishing you well. I know you'll do a great job for the students of West Orange. Ms. Morgan, thank you for coming down. Looking at that site, again, I don't want to repeat what my colleague has said, but that's what Ms. Brill is there for. I'm sure she'll be able to assist you. In regards to, as far as the township's role in funding and whatnot, we already have a partnership with Bethany Church and the Community House. So we have two partnerships there where there's drop-in for the students. So I would highly, you already had a conversation with Mr. Cito. I think maybe this conversation you need to have with Mr. Cito is maybe if there's space in his building, because he has classroom space, then maybe you could partner either with him or go down the street to talk to Bethany Church, Reverend Guy In. He's very, very responsive. He has been so great with programming for the students in the neighborhood, and has really great programs there. So that's why we've supported both entities. Whether we could support another entity, I doubt it with our tight budget, but those are great conversations to have, and if you ever need assistance, just please feel to reach out. So they may be two avenues that may be able to help you with. Mr. Sears, I'm sure you'll be on the phone with Monsignor Kelly in regards to the parking, and I'm glad to see our officers enforcing the ticketing. Not that, sometimes I know with my kids, when there isn't street parking, that, they get a ticket, they'll remember and they'll, move the car and not park where they're supposed to park. I know they do have the busing where they could park on Prospect Avenue and take the kids down. Of course, if you're running late for school and probably miss the shuttle bus, that's probably the students that you're getting parking by your house. But I'm sure Monsignor will be more than glad to issue another letter for the township. And Ms. Morelli, I reviewed the solicitation ordinance. I am not one for people coming to my home, but they're also visiting during the daylight hours, like during the middle of the day. And some of them have permits, some of them don't. I always encourage you to tell residents, and I'm telling residents now, one, do not open your door, and number two, if you feel uncomfortable with anyone coming to your door, you pick up and you call the police department immediately. So it's something that we do need to work on. And again, I know, we all have to have a discussion, because let's be frank, part of solicitation is campaigning when we have campaigns. I know this past year it was crazy with a lot of different campaigning at night as well. So, it's a strong conversation we need to look, to have, because I think we have something on the books. Now, also residents are encouraged, and we should, I'll talk to Mrs. Duffy about getting out on our e-blast and in a mailer. I thought I did mention it, but we'll mention it again, at the no solicitation policy with the signs, so they could put that in their homes as well. And last but not least, thank you, Mr. Rosenberg, for coming down. And there's not much we could say tonight about the situation, nor do we have a crystal ball on what the owners are going to do. But it will go before the Planning Board and Zoning Board if they're making such requests, and that will give you an opportunity to go to those hearings. So there is a process before it may not get to us. So we do have mechanisms in mind. If you look on the website, you'll see when the zoning is posted, and I believe those agendas were they posted on the Friday before the meetings, or usually the day of the zoning board meetings for their applications, Mr. Sayers?
I think they're the Friday before.
the Friday before. So if you look at it, it usually whispers Facebook, you'll find out about it immediately, but you could also look on the agenda to see if anything appears. So, but thank you, and welcome to West Orange and being part of the process. Council President?
Councilwoman Matute Brown.
Thank you. Rosary, I've been here when I've heard you ask for us to review the ordinance, and I have to be honest, I have not. So I will make a note to make sure that I review it. And I know I've also heard Mr. Kaiser look at us and say, well, tell me what you want us to do. So I promise to, with Joe, that we'll look into that and the rest of my council colleagues and see where we can improve that so it's not such an inconvenience to our residents. Ms. Smith-Morgan, I am very excited for your project. I am new to the council, so with budget constraints and understanding what our budget looks like, I don't know how much the town can assist, but you know, there's power in the people, and you have great movers and shakers here that can get together and make sure that we see something so wonderful, an opportunity like you're bringing to our students and our children and our community as something very positive. And I will say as a side note that last week when we were meeting with the Downtown West Orange Alliance, I said to Joe Fagan when he said we need a library, I was like, what about that building? So I don't know, maybe there could be a connection there. That's right, a museum. But you know, it could be a I agree with you. I think we need a community space, you know, and that would be a great way to bring, you know, pedestrian traffic to downtown West Orange. You know, so thank you for your efforts, and I'm willing to help as much as I can. But thank you for taking the time to come out. Ms. Herringer, I can't even imagine all the young kids, but I have to agree with my council colleague. Every year you get a whole bunch of new drivers that have to be reminded, and when in our school building, our kids are usually they take public transportation, and it's a constant reminder when we get, you know, complaints, and it's a matter of sitting down and talking to them. So I'm pretty sure that that is something that will happen with Mr. Sayers and the Monsignor there to remind them. Mr. Weiss is no longer here, but I look forward to looking into that and possibly signing on to assist in that area. Mr. Rosenberg, thank you so much for coming down and participating in the process. I do encourage you, there's a lot that's going to be happening in West Orange as far as development. Zoning boards and planning boards are where to start, because that's where they get to before and if they get to us. But certainly I've heard rumors too, and I have very little information, but I look forward to learning. And I'm for development, but I also think it should be responsible. So please do make sure you lend your voice and your concerns at the zoning board meetings. And Ms. Terry Trick-Scales, thank you so much for coming down. My husband, we moved his office, his law practice, on to 414 Eagle Rock Skyline, and I told him about the potential new development, but we experience that issue every single day, and it is concerning, and I'm very guilty of making that illegal left turn, but there's nowhere else to turn. Listen, we're on notice now, right? We really have to revisit that situation, particularly since it's continuing to get busier. So thank you for bringing that to the attention, and I'm sure Mr. Puglisi and the council will reach out to the appropriate people in charge. I think that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman McCartney.
Thank you. I want to echo your comments, Council President, for Tammy Williams and the HRC event yesterday. Well-deserved, with so many people recognized. It was a beautiful event, and for the annual report and the work that the HRC will do. I will get closer to the microphone. Just thank you to Terry Trick-Scales for bringing that issue to our attention. Jerry's made a lot of notes here, and the county is sitting right across from you to thank you for bringing that to their attention. Ms. Morgan, listening to your mindful awareness program, it does sound exciting. A lot of things I just started writing down besides the Boys and Girls Club. The library has teen programming. You can partner with the library. They have a space the chamber uses. Downtown historic, I meant our historian, our official historian uses space. There's other organizations in town that can use library space, and they already have team programming. So that just seems like a nice synergy there. I was thinking of the Bethany Church, as my colleague mentioned, and also the West Orange Arts Center. So the West Orange Arts Center is at 551 Valley Road. They have had exhibits of the high school students there. They have a beautiful meeting space, and I know that they would be very receptive to some type of programming like them. So I think developing these partnerships, the township's not in a position to buy property for a nonprofit. Everyone works their own magic to get that done. But these centers are good suggestions to start these type of partnerships. I'm sure we could think of more if put our heads together. Ms. Heidinger, thank you again for coming to the council meeting. You didn't speak last time. And this is kind of late in the year for Seton Hall students. We usually hear this in the beginning. They're probably just getting their licenses now. But this really is a phone call away, either the police chief or Mr. Sayers or the mayor, to remind the students about parking. It's an issue that we address every year. And they do have a shuttle service. They do park on Prospect. Maybe it's too cold. I don't know what the situation is, but they need to be reminded about situations, about parking, the inconvenience of students parking in people's driveway and blocking their way. Rosary, I am really sorry that I did follow up on your solicitation issue, and I'm sorry I didn't copy you with all of the email exchange with the legal department. And it still boils down to dark when it's dark. Putting a definition on when it's dark. It changes with the seasons. Would not go to the Star Ledger, but as referred to in our ordinance. But if there's a definition in there, I had the town attorney and the clerk reviewing other ordinances. If there is language that it's really about darkness, and don't open the doors at dark. I don't know if people come in for a permit, that can just be stressed that when it gets dark. I know you're shaking your head no, but
they're given a copy of the ordinance.
They're giving a copy of the ordinance, but again, even with that, if it talks about the Star Ledger, it should just be
it's dusk,
when it's dark, right?
I can talk about this when you're done.
Please, when you were copied, we've exchanged quite a few of these emails. So,
I mean, look,
Ken, please.
I asked the clerk to provide me with the vendors who have registered to be peddlers. In 2018, there were 2. Power Home Remodeling, which had permits for, it looks like, approximately 9-10 months of the year altogether. And Renewal by Anderson had a permit for about a month and a half. That's it. So if anybody else is coming to somebody's door, it's an enforcement problem. It's not an ordinance problem. Somebody's got to call the police, and the police have to get there and find whoever is doing this and stop them. Just to be clear, given the comment that Councilman Casalino made, this ordinance does not apply to political, educational. I mean, it's you.
Sirs, can you speak into the mic?
I thought I was talking into the mic. In any event, it doesn't apply to political campaigning. It doesn't apply to religious groups going around and soliciting. It only deals with commercial peddlers. Okay.
Question. What about nonprofits? Because I know this New Jersey Clean Water Group or whatever,
It's a public policy thing. They can do whatever they want.
They can do whatever they want.
What they do is they do get in touch with us, and they tell us the dates that they will be in the area. We provide that to the police department, and then we give them, we ask them to follow the ordinance as far as the time is concerned, so that they're not knocking on the door at 10 o'clock at night and scaring people. So they are receptive to that.
Okay, because I know in my neighborhood we get a lot of religious groups coming around
They're exempt.
constantly.
Yeah,
Okay.
and they don't have to tell us. Some of them do out of courtesy.
Okay.
Right.
I mean, and again, I think as a practical matter, we probably can put some time limitation on them, but it's basically going to be much like it is now from somewhere around dawn until dark. And the ordinance currently doesn't allow anybody to come to anybody's door after dark, which is what most people are most concerned about. And I've addressed the council about this numerous times, and I haven't gotten a word yet from anybody who wants to make a change. You want to make a change, you can, but
I couldn't find a definition. Dark is dark. We couldn't find a definition.
Just get back to the registered peddlers. In 2017, the year before, there were 3. The same 2 and 1 more, which had a permit for a month and a half.
Right.
So there's very, very few people who sell anymore door to door. They don't do it. People are now selling on the internet and so forth. They don't sell door to door. So if somebody's coming to a door peddling, call the police. We'll enforce it.
Right.
And they have gotten summoned.
They have.
And they
Yes,
have
they
gotten
have.
summoned.
People have called, they have gone out to the neighborhoods, they have found them, and they have given them summons in the past.
So I've
And
had-
then they come to my office and say, oh, well, we didn't realize we needed a permit.
'Cause I have the guys too that come and they want to seal your driveway on a weekend
Right.
or all those
Call
type
the
of.
police.
Okay.
Right. Thank you. And Madam Clerk, you also had mentioned that almost like a do not call list, that there
Yes.
is a no solicitation list. So if, Mrs. Morelli, if you are speaking to people, they can be placed on this list in the clerk's office that we were going to put on the website.
Right, and we do provide that to the
That's
solicitor.
already in the ordinance.
Okay.
And what I'm saying is a reading of the ordinance over the phone, which needs to be changed. That one
Okay.
small
Yep, dark is dark. Thank you. Mr. Rosenberg, thank you very much for coming. The zoning, there is no plan as of yet. This is the golf club selling their Rock Spring. We understand there's over 168 acres up there. I know as the liaison to the planning board, I will do everything I can to preserve as much of that as I can. Zoning board meets the 3rd Thursday of every month, and the planning board meets the 1st Wednesday of every month. So if you do check the website, townshipwestorange.org, you would find all the agendas under planning department to see if and when that comes before either board. But there is no plan. Claire, I just want to say thank you to Claire. I appreciate your energy-efficient comment. 76 degrees sounds awfully high over there, and if there's any way to even lower that, that would be
I turned it on tonight because I didn't feel
energy
well.
efficient if you lowered that. Yes, thank you. And Anthony, I'm glad that you're here so that you heard all of the comments about traffic, and hopefully you can relay that back to your own colleagues. Thank you.
Thank you. Council President, just one other thing, since we've been talking about these subjects. I also attended the zoning board meeting, this was last week, and I'm aware of the application. I didn't stay for it, but I'm aware of the application regarding the Exxon station at the corner of Prospect and Eagle Rock. And I kind of assume that that application is going to generate a traffic study. I mean, I can't get any closer to this. I don't know. Maybe this is not working well. I don't know. But so in any event, I assume that may well generate a traffic study. So I'm not sure what the mechanism would be, but it may be wise to have that whole area studied. Perhaps the county can be involved. Our engineer can be involved, and so forth. Again, not sure how it would all work, but it's obviously been a dangerous intersection for a long, long time. One of the busiest intersections in the county. So it may be an opportunity, since somebody's going to be doing a study anyway, to do a bigger study. We may have to fund some of it. I don't know, but it may help.
Thank you, Mr. Kaiser.
Well, Council President, to that point, when they do present their application, they would have to do a traffic study there, and it would also have to go to the county because it is on both county roads. So
Thank you,
there will definitely be a traffic study to present.
Very good. Thank you, Councilwoman. Okay, so now we'll move on. Madam Clerk? Consent agenda, please.
Approval of minutes, public meeting, January 8th, 2019.
Consent.
There was also, I didn't list them here, I apologize. There was the December 11th, the continuation of the December 11th, 2018 minutes.
Consent.
Okay, thank you. Report of township officers, none. Reading of petitions and communications and bids, none. Bills, are there any questions on the bills?
Consent.
Resolutions, are any resolutions being pulled this evening?
Council President, Chair?
Councilwoman McCartney.
Thank you. I would like to pull 2619.
Anything else, Councilwoman?
No, thank you.
Councilwoman Matute Brown, are you pulling any resolutions?
Just so that I'm clear, when we pull, is it for discussion or just not to?
If you have a question,
I have a question.
you can ask a question now. And
When we pull it, and then you'll discuss it, and then you'll vote on it separately off the consent agenda.
Okay.
You can still ask your questions if you have.
Right, right, or you can just ask questions.
So I did pose a question. It was answered before, but I just wanted clarification on 27-19, the resolution authorizing an award to contract VMG Group. And this particular vendor was referred by the architect group that we authorized to do a study. No? Okay.
Two different resolutions.
Two different resolutions. This resolution is for the roofing.
Right.
Okay, so that is not the resolution that I had the question for. The resolution that I had the question for is, hold on one second, I'm so sorry. It is 2219, yes, which is to retain Shine Engineering for the analysis of mechanical and electrical systems at 10 Rooney Circle. I just wanted to know, because from what I understand, they're under the bid threshold. So because it's a service contract, it doesn't have to go out to bid? Is that what that is?
It's not required to go out.
It's not required to go out to bid because it's under.
Yeah, you can still go out if you want.
But it's not required to.
Correct.
So I guess my question is, how do we know we're getting the best offer for our dollar, for our tax dollar, when we go with someone who is recommended versus someone we open up to bid for? And do we not do a bid on this because of time constraints? And if so, what's that time constraint?
If I recall correctly, I think that Mr. Moon sent an answer to some question and indicated that this group was
referred.
This vendor was recommended by the other group that was hired. And I mean, I confess I don't have any familiarity with the specifics of this because I wasn't involved in preparing it. But as a general rule with professional services and things like that, where we don't have to bid, or if it's below the bid threshold, if we know, if we have experience, or if somebody else has experience with the vendor, we're likely to go with that experience. If you just do a pure bid and you have to take the lowest bid, you really often don't know what you're getting. So you get the lowest bid, and it may be good service, may not be good service. Is really so. If we have inside information, we use it.
Just to come back on that, the lowest bid is not always the best bid.
I do.
And once you get the
that.
lowest bid, you have to go with the lowest bid unless you can prove that person can't do, that company cannot do the work. So based on the other engineer that did some of the work there, recommended this to, from what I understand, Mr. Lepore, and Mr. Lepore felt that this company was a good company to use for the price that they were charging us.
Okay.
Councilwoman.
I just want to tell you that I'm getting some hand gestures from the back of the room that sometimes the people are still having trouble hearing. So if you could speak up, everybody at the dais, it would probably help. I just want to flag another thing. If we're educating our newest, shiniest councilwoman, that there is a middle ground that we sometimes use, or that Mr. Lepore sometimes uses, where he actually goes out and solicits proposals, and then chooses from them, and that is. I guess they call that competitive contracting. I guess that's the portion of the law that it falls under. But it is a faster process than actually doing the competitive bidding where you put out bid specs and that sort of thing. So we sometimes do that. I know we've done that in the past.
Thank you, Councilman.
Anything else?
Oh, yes. Just actually a question for the budget on the downtown West Orange.
Sure.
Megan can probably, she's still, there she is.
Ms. Rowe?
Yes. If I could, we're still required to have a public hearing, correct, on the budget?
Okay.
Yes.
And it might be a good time for us to just wait to hold our questions until we can do it all in one.
Absolutely.
That would be my suggestion.
Okay.
My suggestion.
Well, that was it for me on the resolutions.
Not yet.
Councilwoman Castellano?
I don't need to pull one, but I did have a conversation on 2719 with Mr. Lepore this morning about the firehouses. So tonight we have awarded the contract to VM Group in Roselle for the roof improvements, and there is money left over that we had put a bond out for. Mr. Sayers, correct me if I'm wrong on this, for a couple $100,000 that will be a conversation to talk about in the future. There's the exterior. If everybody remembers, he had broke this bid down because we didn't get many bids when he bid it out before the holidays because the bids were together. And so now he separated them out. That's why we have this bid tonight. I had asked him if he would be able to come as soon as he gets a better plan because, again, this would have been great if this work would have been done in 2018 when we originally approved the money, and now here we are, spring of 2019, which he assured me will get done this spring. But there's other projects, and with the budget season coming, and not only there's exterior work, I was also concerned about the bathrooms that had to be done and whatnot, so I had asked for him in the near future to come to us to give us an idea how we're progressing on the overhaul of these firehouses. So I just wanted to share that with my colleagues tonight.
Thank you. Yes, Councilwoman.
Just wanted to follow up on Councilwoman Matute Brown's question about Resolution 2219. The resolution is to authorize hiring an engineering firm to look at the infrastructure for 10 Rooney Circle.
Yeah.
10 Rooney Circle is in the Essex Green Executive Drive redevelopment area. It's one of the 4 major office buildings there. And according to the material that's associated with this, we, meaning the township, is looking at the property to actually buy it. And I hadn't made that connection in our previous, there's been a previous contract that was done also to take a look at this property. And I just want to make sure if I wasn't the only person who did not understand that this is to actually potentially acquire the building, that we know that that's something that's on the agenda. I also wanted to ask a question about Resolution 2319, which authorizes the township to participate in the Union County Cooperative Pricing Agreement. Typically, when we join these sort of cooperatives, we have a particular purchase in mind, and I'm just wondering, there wasn't anything in the resolution about why we're joining this, but is there a particular purchase that we're considering through this cooperative?
No, we go into those.
So we can
Prices are cheaper and we can get whatever we need to get.
Okay. Thank you. That's all. I just wasn't sure whether we should pull Resolution 2019, the public hearing and adoption. Nobody said that. That's okay. Okay.
Yeah, but absolutely.
Okay. So that would be something we should pull.
I wanted to pick up what Joe just mentioned about this Resolution 2219. There isn't anything in here that says that the
Yeah.
township is purchasing property. This is all part of the area need of redevelopment. We're looking at public components. So I just wanted to clarify that there isn't anything about the township
Right.
purchasing
We
this.
talked about this at the last meeting. There was
Okay.
and it
Just to
began with
clarify.
a different kind of study, and this just followed that study. So
Right.
it's another element of the same building, but it's not for purposes of purchasing. It's for purposes of determining if it's truly an option as a place to put the library. That's
Right.
all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Madam Clerk?
Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The consent agenda is implemented. First resolution pulled this evening, 20-19, public hearing and adoption of the 2019 Downtown West Orange Alliance budget.
I would like just to add one other thing that I forgot to mention. In my narrative, I talked about Joe Fagan and our relationship with Joe, but I didn't mention it in the PowerPoint, and I'm sorry for that. Joe is an integral part of everything that happens with us downtown. We very recently have just amped up our Facebook exposure, and pretty much the first 6 months of this year, we're going to be going after all of our business owners and posting and helping them post and boosting posts and talking a lot about the history side of our corridor and then the businesses that are here. But I wanted to, Joe's in the narrative, but he's not in the PowerPoint. So I wanted to make sure that y'all know we love Joe and we love working with him, and he's really an integral part of everything that we do.
Integral part of all West
Right.
Orange as well.
We also like to mention out of content that, Mr. Fagan this year is Deputy Grand Marshal for the St. Patrick's Day Parade. So congratulations to you, Mr. Fagan.
No way, Joe's a deputy grand marshal? We had
Yes.
no idea.
Okay, moving
Just
right along.
speak loudly, okay?
Moving right along. Okay.
I do have a question, Mike. So thank you for the presentation and the slides. One of the first slides, you talked about the businesses and second floors, and you said there were 8 other. Can you define other?
Yeah. 8 other spaces? Oh, okay. So we have stores that are like the community house.
Okay.
We have a couple of churches in the corridor. We have recreational facilities. That's the second part of the community house. We also have Lafayette Park. We have like lots of different, and it should be noted that we don't have this straight, store walkway that people can really park and then just like lollygag around town. It is chopped up a little bit. So that was the point in saying that.
Right, and it extends all the way down, which is another point I wanted to make, that I really appreciate that you were highlighting businesses in the valley. I know it's right on that curve, and is that something that the Downtown Alliance has considered? Because, funding was taken away from the Valley Preservation, so we would like to continue that.
There's actually 3 things kind of popped up towards the end of the year that we really need to concentrate on. One is the banners that are up. Usually we have about 105 banners that are up. The new count that I just got on Friday is 56, which is not good. So you have 56 banners in like 3 miles of our area. So we need to definitely do something about that, which means, an expense. Or we have a couple other ideas. The second thing is expanding the corridor. There's as we get more and more popular with what we do and how we do it, and the other businesses see the support that they get from us, they want it too. So we try to, as best we can, without discounting the businesses that are in our side of the corridor, really try to include them. And they're in every restaurant week that we do. They're in, every ribbon cutting that we can pull off for them. We really try to embrace them. there is a mechanism. The tough way to add to the SID is the way we created the SID in the beginning, and that is truly redefining the footprint. The ordinance doesn't need to change. It would be the list of streets, and that's a lot of lobbying with a lot of property owners that are paying, you know, thousands of dollars more collectively to be part of who we are. An easier way is through our Member 365 program, adding the actual business in as a player, so that, you know, somebody like Susie Q's, that is a big thriving business, she would pay more money than, say, Valley Fresh, you know, but little store. So we have an economic development committee that's where that would happen, and Darren Carton, who can't be here tonight but sends his regards, he's going to have to get his brain around that and figure out what to do. The downtown used to go all the way to the valley, and those business and property owners need somebody that can help them and say, your store looks really yucky, can we fix it, can we help you? And it's good to have us to be that, you know, role in between. Sure. The property owner, the business. That's how I met Andrea, because she was trying to buy 222. So there's value there. We need to be conscious of not spreading ourselves out too thin, but we do have some really talented people in our circle, and so I think last year was not a good idea to do that, but this year, you know, looking at that, at the very least, incorporating some businesses to, you know, participate with us would be helpful.
Great.
I'm sorry. No.
Yep. All right, so you just mentioned economic development, but one of your line items was economic revitalization. Is that synonymous, or?
Yeah, that's economic. So that we only put $3,000 in that because we don't have a real plan. We know that Darren wants to look at, that's his committee. We know Darren wants to look at broadening the facade grant program, helping with expanding the footprint or incorporating more businesses. We really need a brochure that kind of talks about who we are, what we do, so that we're not talking to 10,000 people every day. Right. So that's the kind of stuff that's in there. It's an important part of our budget. Just the other two areas, promotion and visual design, are more important this year. So there's some money there. We get a good idea, we'd be able to, you know, fund for it in coming years.
And I really also appreciated the fact that you highlighted the murals, because I think that was just such an outstanding, it was really an event. It was an event to have so much attention paid to Main Street with the murals. That was good. I have in my notes here just an odd amount, about $48,091
fundraising.
For your fundraising, right?
Yeah. So it's and I didn't put that number in lately. Having Ron Raymond, Elmina, and Sheree, and we had a pretty successful West Orange Idol concert. Yeah. So normally we put about $34,000 in every budget. That's our fundraising, the 5K. And our street fair. We added in West Orange Idol, which should be a moneymaker for us. We also are adding back in the Holiday Bazaar. Now that we have a set spot at the community house, we can have a bazaar. It runs very well. And we have a bailiwick of folks that want to come back after the street fair and to do, you know, something more local with us at the Holiday Bazaar. So those two additions we know will be successful. We'd also like to add a Harvest Festival, whether that is a fundraiser or a just a have fun downtown kind of event. It's unclear, but that's why there's that money in there. But I think that we should raise $15,000 on our 5K. We fell short this year. I'm not sure what that was all about. I know we lost some of the national sponsors for the Ovarian Cancer Coalition. So But I think that the gal that works for the NOCC, this is her second year. She's kind of got a groove, so we should be able to pull off about 15,000 in the 5K, and then a good rest in our car show and street fair and the other promotional, aspects. The holiday open house costs us a lot of money, but it's a fabulous event, and it brings tons of people downtown.
Right.
So we'd like to be able to supplement that, not have it cost us $5,000 every year, let the bazaar pick up, and that would kind of weigh out. But that's where we're looking.
I think just the same way that you mentioned that the NOCC, this is her second year, the same thing can be said for the Idol contest. That last year was the first year. Weather wasn't so nice. But just knowing the talent that we have in West Orange, and even just yesterday's event, the students that performed yesterday.
I know. I tried to cancel that every single day, and then a new person would show up in my office and say, I want to sing, I want to dance. So it ended up being a really fun event. Joe was able to MC it. We had fabulous judges. What we really, and actually that's one of the events that we're moving to Sunday this year, because we wanted all of our business owners to be there, and they're all working on Saturday.
Right.
So moving it to Sunday and allowing it to be on that field, we pretty much know how to hold a concert in a field that has no lighting or electricity, so we could do that again. But yeah, it is something that we had a lot of people come and sing and dance, and everybody was really attentive and kind. It was nice. That was a nice event.
It was very nice.
Missed it. Saw the videos.
I had a good excuse, though.
Are you?
Thank you.
Okay. Megan, can you really tell a little quick overview of 365?
I'm sorry. Oh, remember 365?
Remember 365.
Okay, so I actually was on the phone the last 3 weeks trying to get, we've been internally been able to use it. It is the best database for keeping track of all of the things we have to keep track of. All of our business owners, all the property owners, all the tax, block and lot, and assessments, and all that stuff. So internally, I usually have to keep 4 or 5 different databases. In Member 365, I'm able to keep it, it's all right there. There's a problem with the iframe, that when the iframe gets loaded into our website, it doesn't appear the right way. So they're back and forth trying to figure it out. And the website is the website that we got from Main Street, New Jersey. The guy and the people in Member 365 have been on the phone. I just got an email. They think they know what it is, and as soon as that gets fixed, then we'll go live and everybody will be able to see. But one of the things, when the business mix, that's how, if you look at the front page of the new website, it's going to list the 45 different categories of our businesses. You'll be able to find, you want an auto body guy, bam, right there. You want a nail salon, you'll be able to click. The other benefit of that, which is, it's been a lot harder to implement than I thought, but what would be key for us is, once I get all the restaurants in there, and I'll have a link. I'll click on restaurants, and there'll be a URL that I can throw on Facebook to say, "Hey, Pleasantdale, these are all these are all the restaurants downtown," and they'll be right there. Where now it's impossible to do that in our current system, off the current website. So I keep saying it's coming. It's pretty close.
Also, too, I thought, you're going to mention in your presentation about the stretching out the special improvement district to include the Valley Arts.
Yeah, I can barely hear you, Jeff.
To improve the Valley, okay, I'm sorry, to include the Valley Arts District, to really bring them into the mixture and all of that. And you'll do it the same way. It's going to take, a while to redo the legislation, but we can do it through membership, too.
We push out all of the arts district, everything that happens out of Luna Stage and the Arts Council. Our goal really is to embrace the businesses that are there. The businesses are the ones that need our help. There's nobody that's advertising for them. There's nobody that's saying, hey, you know, this is a great, I could see the post. It would be, look at all the Latino restaurants, you know, when we list them all, and we'll get to include, you know, State Diner in there, and, you know, the ones that just kind of don't, right. So it's something that we need to be cautious about, because it does add more work for us, and we need to make sure that our limited resources are dedicated to where they're supposed to go, which is the SID tax and the assessment that those property owners are paying. But I think that it would, if there was a one place where folks could go to find out stuff about, you know, what's the new hot restaurant, it would benefit us. If Valley Fresh is all everyone's talking about, right? Love talking about them, fabulous new store, but they're not in the corridor. So.
Thank you. Councilwoman Castellino?
I guess my concern is, because you guys do a great job and you spend a lot of time, but, you know, again, this may not be the night for it, but are we better off making a separate, like Valley Arts downtown, or I'm just afraid of you spreading yourself too thin, and also would your existing membership, you know, you may have, you know, you may have to poll them, I guess, or
I think that when they abbreviated the corridor to stop at Central Avenue, the goal was that, you know, Pat Morrissey and Hands and, you know, those guys were going to pick up and go crazy and really do what we were doing on this side with them. And that never really happened. I think that with Member 365 and with the team that is here, that we should be able to service them. But I agree with you. I mean, it needs to be really, really careful and really, really thoughtful.
Yeah. And then I'm glad to hear you explain, that was my question about economic development, what was on the horizon for that, because I feel that, you know, as you know, when you have a committee on that, that's very important to the downtown to keep bringing in new businesses and attracting new businesses. And I'm excited to see the yoga studio coming.
Yes, right. That was going to be my last slide, and I got waylaid in the office. But yeah, she is seasoned business owner from Bloomfield, lives on Whittlesey Avenue, and her store is beautiful. Just to be, I don't think I could ever meditate. If I could meditate and be quiet, it would be in that spot. It's a beautiful store. So she's excited. She's in. She's well excited, and she picked up those 2 spots. So it's going to have like a real, a smaller area where you'll check in and be able to dump your sneakers and get your yoga stuff on, and then go on the other side.
So here's where, well, I'll save it for pending matters. I have an issue with the parking lot that in Council President, I know we have to vote on this, but, you know, being that some of your board members are here, Mr. Sayers, I think it's a time to have a conversation about removing the basketball court and reconfiguring that reconfiguring that parking lot, because I remember when Francel was there and the hair salon where the yoga studio is now, you know, it is an issue for them, and having conversations with them, and I have yet to see, you know, it being utilized at all, like not even a few kids, but I just haven't seen. I think that's because the Washington now has programming to 6:30, 7 o'clock at night, and kids are in their gym with their after-school programs. And again, we just talked about Bethany Church and what a great job they're doing, and the community house. So I think it was a great program that our substation tried to implement and was successful years ago, but I think it's something we need to have a conversation about to help these businesses flourish, especially with yoga studio. You know, people want to see that access, that main entrance into that parking lot, and you know, be able to pull in, park, and it's visibility too. Because right now it isn't visible. Like you look over at those stores and you don't see parking.
Right.
And I know that was an issue.
The pass-through definitely impacted that lot. We did mention it in the master plan meeting that we had with the planner, that that is the most awkward parking lot ever. and, you know, has 3 different addresses, and it's just, there's no real rhyme or reason to it. And we asked for the other parking lots make sense. They're square or they're rectangle. That one is like a big Y, and to have the Washington Street exit closed off is troubling. And you're right, you know, there's a lot of good businesses right in there that really need to be able to park and walk kind of close to where they're going.
And to that point too, when Mr. Lepore, I had asked him if he could look at it. So if you, hopefully you'll see him walking around your parking lot today. So again, but great job, and it's exciting to see.
Thank you.
All the new stores and the restaurants, and you know, it's going to be a great year. I'm excited that we're bringing back Downtown Thursdays. That was fun.
Yes, yeah.
So we'll have to get our singers back out there on the corner. That was a good time, so I'm looking forward to that.
Right. I think that with the latest promotion that we had on social media, we ended up getting like 12,000, it's probably more than that now, 12,000 views on the promotional, you know, pieces that we put out that's showcasing those, you know, really good businesses. Downtown Thursday will help us expand that. We're going to be able to hone in on Eagle Rock and talk about, you know, the 8 or 10 great places to go on a Thursday night. Same thing with each one of the corners. So we, with the help of Shireen, Amina, and the whole team, we should be able to have successful Thursday nights in nice weather.
Very good.
They were fun.
Councilwoman, oh, are you done, Councilwoman?
Yes, I am. Thank you.
Okay, Councilwoman Matute-Brown?
Thank you. I first want to thank Megan for her time in bringing me up to speed with my appointee, Gary, on all of the tremendous work that the Downtown West Orange Alliance does. I was not aware of the extensive detail work that you all do. And then to all of your board members, I had a great meeting participating with you all. You have a wonderful synergy that happens there with all of you. There's a lot of stuff going on that the public is not aware of. Yeah. Let's have those meetings here so that they can all come and fit in the conference room. But thank you for all your work. I touched upon also, I want to talk about the extension of the corridor, which is something that I think is very important, particularly, and I know being stretched even thinner than you already are, but looking, you know, in the long run with the Central Avenue development that's coming up there and all of the residents that will be in that area, and just to bring us, you know, closer to being one West Orange as opposed to two, I think that in the long run that would be beneficial because of the SID, right, for the town as well as for the residents and the business owners there as well. I did have a question with respect to the economic revitalization, that fund that wasn't used last year, 3,000, does that come over into this budget for the same thing? Is that increasing? So there's a line item here, the economic revitalization. It's in your 2019 budget. It's $3,000. Is that a rollover from last year?
No.
No.
The whole budget kind of ends in one year and then begins in the next year. So economic development.
I think that I made a note when you were going through your slides. You said you didn't spend it last year, so that's why I want to know, is that a carryover from last year?
No, we wouldn't do that probably for economic development. We would do that for the facade grants because we hardly ever use that $20,000, and actually we did this year. It's like $19,900 some odd dollars. So I think that if we were approaching one of the budget limit that we would meet collectively, and I would present, and they would decide whether we would go above or below. Everything that is in this budget is things that I know the teams are working on. We don't have a good, solid plan for ER yet. When we do, then, so if something comes up, it's a long year. Something comes up, we have $3,000 that we'll be able to do a brochure, we'll be able to do something. And then, so we didn't want to completely eliminate it, but 3,000 is a solid, safe number. So that's what, it was like 10,000 one year, 8,000 one year, kind of like moves around a lot.
Okay. And I see also the organization, the training, I think it's very important. I know that you get a lot from going and attending these, they're not fairs, they're conventions, right?
Right, our Main Street Conference in downtown New Jersey.
I think that's very important, and I think that
Yeah, I think that especially because we have, it's not just me or Joe or John, it's, you know, a ton of other people, and if we want them to understand what to do and how to do it well, somebody other than me needs to talk to them and train them. The New Jersey program and downtown New Jersey has fabulous training. You just need to plug into it. So that's why we added that $2,000 to that, because we need Elmina and Cherie and Ron Raymond and Darren Curtin. We need for them to plug in, figure out what's the best trick and what's good practice for us in implementing the next step. So it's not that much money, but no, we pretty much held to under 5, so it's a solid number.
And as far as the banners that are going up, are you ordering more banners? I know you said you had like 52.
Okay, so we when we originally bought them, they're 5 years old now, or like. We bought them right after I got hired, so they've been up for 5 years. It's windy, and as soon as the bracket gets weak, then it beats the banner up a lot. So we ordered 150 way back when. We only hung 105. We had 15 and 20 in each one of the colors as a backup. So because I got at 150, I think that they were, I didn't look up how much they were. I'm thinking they were $79 each. They might have been like $69 if we ordered 150. So we ordered that number, and then we've been swapping out the crappy ones for nice ones. When he came on last Thursday, I had seen ones that were up that when we took them down, I said, you guys, I can't even, these are terrible. You can't put them back up. So now we're down to 56. So that is one of the biggest line items. It would be within the visual design, what's it called? Yeah, the design budget. And we have actually, I'm not a big fan for putting select auto repair on the banner on the pole. Sorry, I wouldn't want Advantage, or I don't think that. That's not what it's for. We're supposed to be identifying the corridor, signaling out the the different areas. And I would do whatever I was told to do, but I think that there's a better way for us to be able to talk about and beautify the poles. And they're hometown heroes. They are historical, like we're the most decorated town in the state, right? So for a couple $100, you could put your dad or your uncle or all the guys on the honor wall. We can make a banner with their picture as a sailor up on the pole. So at conference last year, a township had done that, and we kind of squirreled it away with this would be really cool, and we should absolutely have this in our town. The byproduct of that was that they created a book. They had so much really cool information on all the guys that, and some girls, that they put a book together that had a picture and like the story of who this guy was and where he served and what happened, and I'm getting goosebumps just talking about it. So if Joe will take that on, we'll be able to get that done in the next couple of months. But for now, the banners that are up are the ones that are there. We may move some around. There's some better high-profile spots, but.
And the last question, because I've been in your office recently, where is your admin support going?
Oh, okay. Thank you.
This is in the hallway.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, Councilwoman? You had a Councilman?
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Ms. Brill, every year I start off my questioning with asking about...
We're 13.
About metrics, and how you measure success. I didn't see a whole lot of that presentation. Do you guys have some metrics, and how do those metrics do this year?
Well, we have successful events, and I think our biggest numbers and what we're really concentrating this next 6 months on is our Facebook and our social media newsletters. So what we found is that when folks know what the menu looks like, where they can park, and who is the owner, they will come to the store. So we are tag teaming our social media platform with our Constant Contact email newsletter. I know that when I send a note to our business owners, I get a 60% open rate, which I think I should have a 100% open rate, because it's the business owner. If I'm telling you Main Street's going to be closed, you need to know that. So I think all of them should open it. So we get about a 59% open rate there. Our emails that go out regularly, and the goal is to do that more regularly, at least every 2 weeks in this coming year, I get like 39% open rate, which is 10 points above the average. And that's not just for street fair or idle. It's for just regular, like we're going to do a spotlight on our board, and we're going to spotlight some of the new businesses. We're going to spotlight Tory Corner. When I do stuff like that, people open it. They click through. So my matrices are pretty good. I want them to be better. And there's all those classes that say you use catchy phrases and different things. But what I think, and you'll see the banners that are up that say Eat, Drink, Shop. There are 6 of them that are floating around on, the different corners in town. That whole campaign is driving folks back to our website. When people can easily find out information about the new business that's downtown, like Nicholas Anthony, they will readily come back. And I'm hoping that our numbers will increase. But yeah, I think that we are definitely better than the average, and we're always looking for cute little gimmicks and things that we can do. Currently Joe is working on. Go ahead, Joe.
Excuse me, Councilman, I can give you some hard numbers based on the last month. Usually when I put a post up on the Facebook Downtown Alliance site, within 24 hours it's got over 1,000 reaches, or people who have looked at it. And when it's up there for a week, the last 2 posts, they probably have a combined total right now of over 8,000 people looking at them. So we are getting some real great play on Facebook social media. When the post goes up, it usually just takes off immediately. And it's a variety of subjects, and they all support our downtown businesses, or somehow tie into our downtown businesses, perhaps from a historical perspective. But the numbers have been really very promising, and as administrators on the Facebook page, we can see the amount of people that are actually looking at them, and as they say, within 24 hours are easily over 1,000, and that's an incredible start, and it just skyrockets from there.
What's really neat about that too is that we can tailor it. When we put the post out about the calendar, I knew that the 18 to 35 range, that they weren't caring about the calendar. We could target the 35 to 65 plus range. I just had a meeting with Facebook, like online. Billy Keogh came in to better understand the Facebook ads and like how to build the back end of it, and what are words you need to put in to get better open rates, better share rates, better views. And it's amazing, and this is all kind of new for me. We have a team of people that are much better at it than me, but we realize that Facebook changes that algorithm, and we know that if we can boost some posts for folks, it gets huge response, which is good. We need people to see. Folks wanted to know what Nicholas Anthony's dining room looked like. That was, where's the menu? Yeah. I'm not going, I want to see the menu. So the minute we put that stuff out there, that went crazy, which is good. And that hopefully there's standing room only on Saturday night at Nicholas Anthony now at 450 Main Street. Sorry.
Are you tracking these numbers over time? I know Mr. Fagan mentioned just in the last month, you're mentioning limited, but are you tracking these over time? Are you tracking the whole 12?
Absolutely.
at 12 months, and how does it compare with previous years?
One of the things that it's easier to track for around our events. What we saw 2 years ago was for our street fair that there was a good 500 or 600 likes very close to the actual street fair. So what we created was an actual street fair Facebook page. So now I can, and it just kind of multiplies the ability. So now it's people that just want to know about the street fair that don't live here. They're not folks that are here. So that I can build in when those folks start to like that page, when I tell them about something new that's happening, I get to take advantage in the algorithm of the folks that like the street fair. So those people may or may not go see Nicholas Anthony, but they might. So yes, it is something that we track. We have a list of all the newsletters and the open rates, and we fiddle around between sending stuff out at 5 o'clock at night or 8 o'clock in the morning. I manipulate whether I want it to be a desktop version or a phone version, and it's funny. And in the morning, I forget which one it is. One or the other, it does a better, folks the business owners open their stuff up on the computer at night. In the morning, it's on their phone. So, and that's good for me to know, because then I make the newsletter be a mobile unit as opposed to a desktop unit. So yeah, we track it all. I'd have to look to see what the differences are between our events and our regular posting, which I can keep track of that. We'll do like a report in March or April, and we'll have enough of a track record on boosting all of our. God bless you, Jack. Boosting all of the different, just what's happening at, Prime Jewelry Store, or, the stores in Torrey Corner, or whatever it is.
Councilman?
Right. Okay. So one of the issues that we have with our digital age is that it's really easy to be engaged and to hit a like and that sort of thing. So a lot of organizations actually do the old-fashioned thing, which is to tie this back to actually finding out who actually goes somewhere or who actually purchases. Have you done any sort of that surveying at specific sites to find out if the people that come there came from your Facebook post or anything like that?
Well, I think that we saw that over the, we did a contest for the holiday lights that were out there. And what we really saw, we purposely didn't put a picture of the storefront. If you could see the storefront, you didn't have to go there. We wanted you to go there. So we knew that different folks were going to, the 7 businesses that ended up being like the real winners, that folks did go there. And they did ask the business owner. The Prime Jewelry guy is new, quiet guy. And he was surprised when you saw how many views and the different, thank you, I met you, I bought these, diamond earrings with the screw back or something, somebody said. So they are engaging. I think that we need to get better at helping our business owners push out their own stuff. Now we're pushing out for them, and we need them to kind of help play along. But I think that the yoga studio is going to be a great example of that. As soon as she's open, you're going to see, grand opening Friday night. So I think that we can't really click by and say how many people cross Gregory Avenue into the downtown, but I think that when our businesses are successful, and part of that, when I put in the in our budget presentation, how many property owners own more than one property, they're buying stuff here because their businesses are successful. So those are the kind of matrices that I think that shows a support when we have 4 businesses that opened up a second location, which is amazing. That that's good stuff. So we're watching Zulu, we're watching Wasabi Sushi, we're watching, there's a good handful of, more than that, there's probably 25 great restaurants and retailers that I know people, if they knew where to go, would go. So we're going to see, I think that when people start really having trouble parking, right? Like the Quigley lot is packed now, which is great. and then we find
Every
out where
night.
they can park. But yes, I'm
Do
sorry.
you have any other metrics besides these, the sort of the Facebook, the digital?
The Facebook Constant Contact, we have the, last year was kind of an anomaly. We didn't have a big turnout for our car show, and we had an okay turnout for the street fair. It rained in the morning, but it wasn't that bad. What was interesting about those two things is that now the food vendors form is out, and I have two people on a wait list. So I think, which is great, we don't want to duplicate food, but I already have 15 food vendors, which the health department is so happy about, that it's done and they're locked in. But so I think that when you see people here, that's the biggest. What we need is, and this is what I had this conversation with Joe, and I know I'm talking a lot, but I had this conversation with Joe. It is only getting us part way when Joe posts on Joe Fagan's Facebook page. When Joe posts on the downtown page, then all the people that know Joe start to know about downtown, and then all the folks that already look at downtown that don't know Joe, he's getting crazy, response. People are asking questions. He's like on the phone all the time now. So I think that there's always more that we can do, but I like this path. I think that we have a good plan. It's executable. And exciting. We'll see how the Harvest Festival goes. That's like the new thing this year. Will be in October, way before the rec department thing and the doggy parade. But that will be the new one. If we have folks that come out and support that, then we're super successful. So you can hold me to that next year.
Are you regularly tracking occupancies and vacancies and turnovers?
Yeah, that's what we're at. 13. We're at 13 retail-ready spots, and we're working on 5 others. That Ron Raymond is the rock star that is meeting with all the property owners. We have actually 2 stores that we're helping the owners fix up. And we're probably going to put some Downtown Alliance matching grant funds in there to help the Tory Corner liquor store. It's a nice store. It just doesn't have a nice outside. So we're working really hard on making sure that that gets executed. And but yeah, we kind of track that. It's fluid. I think as stores come in, other stores go out. So, but we're at 13.
You're at 13 what?
13 storefronts. 13 properties,
13
not counting Battery Building.
Vacancies? Is that what you're saying? Vacancies?
Yeah.
Okay.
Not counting Battery Building and not counting CVS. I actually changed it on the matrix, on the iframe. We're going to add coming soon, because there's, 310 Main Street. It's coming soon. Something is coming soon. It's not available. It's a vacant storefront, but it's not available. So there's like a few of those that fall into that, where they're trying to get plans through the planning board, or they have a plan, like 222 was on the books, that was sold almost. So there's a couple of those. Keeping track of that is a full-time job. But yeah,
So you have 13 vacancies out of how many retail storefronts?
Out of, we have 252 storefronts.
So we're talking about 5%.
Yeah.
And how has that changed over, say, the last 3 years?
It's actually stayed at about 13 storefronts. It goes between 13 to 17 in any of the last 3 years since we've been tracking. Originally, we were at 45.
Right. Do you track turnover at all?
I'm sorry?
Do you track turnover at all? How many, you mentioned it earlier, how many go out and how many come in?
I love that number. The sustainability of our stores is really great. So we had, and there was a slide that I ixnayed in for timing of the presentation, but there's 10 stores that were here 3 years ago that are still here. We lost Francel, purchase possession. That was a tough one to lose. It was a retailer, it was a beautiful storefront, and I think I cried. And he didn't want to tell me that he was, going to go back to his former job, and so that one hurt. Everything else has been, pretty reasonable, and we've seen a steady decline, rapid decline from 45 down to about 15, and then we've been hovering about between 13 and 15. But we have an entire team of people that is working with, there's a ton of property on Harrison that needs to be changed. So, I can tell you all the addresses off the top of my head. We talk about it all the time. It's getting some of the landlords don't want to talk to us. They don't want, I don't know why they don't want to rent their building, but they don't. So we do, we're working with the folks that we can get their attention and help. So.
Okay, thank you. I want to just move a little bit to revenue and fundraising because it seems a bit concerning that there seemed to be quite a shortfall in your fundraising in 2018. You mentioned the $8,000 that you budgeted for the mayor's 5K, but you said that didn't.
Right. This past year, we lost a few national, I guess, sponsors that have been notoriously just West Orange sponsors, ended up jumping onto the national front. So they became national sponsors for NOC, and we kind of missed out on that money, and that was about $3,000 or $4,000. We also had a really cold day. So we lost like $4,000 in actually folks being able to run that day. We still had 600 or 700 people here, but we usually get close to 900, and we didn't hit that mark either. But the gal was brand new last year that we partnered with to make that happen, and she's solid. She's actually has a meeting with Summit Medical Group. Maybe I shouldn't say. She has a meeting with a couple of folks to be sponsors for this year's run, which is September 22nd, and some of that is fluid. There's been a few sad parts about the 5K. Key volunteers and fundraisers haven't made it, and that has impacted the numbers a little bit.
Okay. And then the other two fundraisers that you had, they also did not meet budget in 2018. And in fact, if you add them together, basically the shortfall was over $12,000, which was like over a third of what the budget was.
I'm not sure I'm hearing you, Joe.
Okay. So I took the 3 fundraisers that you listed in the materials, I added them up, and it appears that you had budgeted last year for almost $35,500 for these 3. You only raised a little less than $23,000, so it was about a 35% shortfall. And what I wanted to ask about is, what makes you so confident, given the shortfall last year, that it looks like you're doubling down? Because on some of your materials you say instead of the budget last year was $35,000 for fundraising, now you've got over $48,000. So I just want to make sure that these projections are realistic, because you don't have a great deal of margin for error. So what makes you confident that even though you didn't hit last year, you're adding, like, I don't know, 50% more to this year?
Well, I think that we should make our numbers on the street fair that we didn't make last year. The 5K has always brought in, $70,000, $80,000, $90,000. Last year was, definitely a hiccup in that number. And we have 3 other events. The bazaar should end up not making $5,000, the holiday open house, but should at least, I won't have to spend $5,000 on Santa and breakfast and all that stuff. So we should make some money on the bazaar, the holiday part. We have good street fair. West Orange Idol, while it's not going to be the kind of money that we make on the street fair, it's going to be a decent fundraiser. And the Harvest Festival will be a concert that we believe. The thing that about those 5 events and then regular sponsorships that our team is going after is that they're separated out. So they're every couple of months. That's why I put the dates on the PowerPoint. So we're going to know a lot after the summer. So if we don't hit our mark, then we don't spend as much money as we said we wanted to. And most of the spending really happens after the street fair. So I think that it's solid, and we thought about it, And I think that it's not, that 48 was, I was like, wow, is it really 48? But I think it's more than doable with the team that we have and the plans that we have executed so far.
I think you had come last year and talked about you had hired a consultant, sort of a marketing and events consultant.
Yeah.
How did that work out, and did that impact some of these?
We had hoped that Sylvia would make my job, a little bit easier, or I could dedicate my resources in a different direction. And what ended up happening was that she really wasn't as good as she said she was. And I still needed to spend so much time executing the street fair, playing around with the car show and West Orange Idol. So after the street fair, we saw that we weren't getting the rate of return that we needed out of her and her organization, so we decided to stop. And now everything kind of fell back towards me, but we found some good volunteers, and we have a decent plan in place.
Okay. I'm looking at this budget here. You listed that you had budgeted $62,500 for visual improvement last year. It looks like you didn't spend anything for that, but now you're including it again, the $62,000. What makes you think that you're going to be doing that when you didn't spend anything last year?
So our team, economic development team, that's what you said, economic development? Is that what you said?
No, it says visual improvement, $62,500.
Yeah, no, we spent a lot of that. Visual improvement is...
Make visual improvement.
Right. I'm not sure what you're looking at, Joe. We spent about $62,000 on visual improvement. Maybe the line got changed in the copy that you have. The visual improvement is all of our garbage and maintenance, the holiday decorations, the spring banners, the planters and flowers, and what else is in that? Yeah, the facade ground. And we actually spent 20, the whole, we've never given away that entire line item, and this year we did, over 15 different businesses, which is really, really good. That's exactly where we should be spending our money, improving the storefronts, helping the business owners, make tasteful, beautiful signs and storefronts.
Excuse me, just a second. Am I the only one that has this?
I'm sorry, maybe.
It wasn't carried over.
It's this one.
So in the middle where it says actual 2018.
That's missing.
Oh, when you say it didn't carry over, you mean it's just missing? Okay.
Right.
Hers is different than ours.
I'm sorry, Joe. I was making copies like a crazy person.
So hers is different.
Okay.
She has the number in there.
Just a couple of other quick questions, again, based on the handout.
The narrative?
Yes, you list $2,350 for the Shop West Orange card. Was that the same as last year?
I think it is.
Okay.
It's pretty close. And the thing about the card actually is interesting. I could talk all day about all this stuff. So we had protected the cards that we had printed. We had made 10,000 cards, and they cost about $1 each a card. So we were kind of stingy with just mass mailing those cards out. The company has come across with an app now, so you get a QR code on your phone, and you don't need the card anymore. So that is helpful. The majority of that money will help pay for readers. We have a grant program that we pay for half of the reader that is at the restaurant or the store, and it helps pay for marketing of that program. We have a couple of new signs that we put out, and we're going to put Shop Small and Shop West Orange banners up. So that line item will cover all those kinds of costs. Everything to specifically support the program.
Okay. On page 4 of the handout, it lists facade grant program as $20,000. Did you spend $20,000 in 2018? I'm sorry?
We spent $19,800. We spent a lot.
Okay. And so but you expect to also do that again this year?
We've never ever spent all of it in past years, But because that team of people are out talking and negotiating and really are in between being a partner with our business and property owners, we're making more connections and we're spending more of that money. So yeah, I would bet that we should be pretty close to that number again this year.
Okay. Just one more question. My appointee on the West Orange Alliance told me that the Alliance board was considering giving bonuses to you and to Mr. Fagan, and I didn't see that in the budget, and I'm just wondering what happened with that.
If we at the end of the year did vote for a $500 budget or bump for Joe and $1,000 for me. At the end of the year, I think that, and John can maybe speak to this better than me, but at the end of the year when they looked at the numbers, I've been here, this is my 7th year, and this is Joe's 6th year with us, and we didn't want to raise the budget to give us any kind of an increase for this coming year. So I believe that the $1,000 for me and $500 for Joe was an extra. We really appreciate you, which we really appreciate, but didn't increase our salaries for the coming year.
Is this the first time the Alliance board has awarded bonuses like this?
As far as I've been around, yes.
Okay.
And I don't think that I don't think it's going to become a habit. I just think that I think that we did talk like 6 months ago about increasing. When everything works right, we should get a 1%, 2% raise. And that's not in the cards, but they wanted to, say, we can't do that, but we can do this.
Okay, that's all.
Thank you, Councilman.
We'd love to see Lou back at meetings too, Joe.
Councilwoman McCartney?
Thank you, Council President. I guess because I grew up on Hazel, I have to go back to the Valley. But just to talk about, I tried to accrue sustainable Jersey points for the township, and we're working on a creative placemaking program. And just like, we went to the ribbon cutting for Some Good Foods, it's kind of blurry, that you do extend over to the Valley. Central Avenue, I mentioned the redevelopment on Central Avenue. Just like Valley Arts is blurry with West Orange Arts Council, I served on the Valley Arts, I served on Luna Stage Board, Valley Preservation with our former colleague Victor. And Hans really has done a great job, I have to say, about Pat and Wayne, more on the Orange side than here on the West Orange side. But I wanted to go back to the creative placemaking, because while you're getting your 365 database in line or in check for the Valley end, I would like to work with your board on this creative placemaking, because if we can accrue those points through Sustainable Jersey, then we will be eligible for more grants. So it's just something, when we have a meeting, we have to work that together.
That's their forte. That would be great.
Good. Okay. Thanks.
Thank you.
Oh, and by the way, there is a planning board application on Harrison Avenue. That's pending, so that should come up within the next month or two.
Right, so that's going to add something. I know we could talk all day about all the different things that are going on. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Clerk?
Is there a motion to adopt 20-19?
So moved.
Second.
Councilwoman Castellino?
Yes.
Councilman Krokoviac?
No.
Councilwoman Matute Brown?
Yes.
Councilwoman McCartney?
Yes.
Council President Garino.
Yes.
The motion is approved.
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
The other resolution pulled this evening was 2619, resolution authorizing a third extension of the current contract for the operation of the township's recycling center to allow additional time for the township to evaluate proposals submitted for a new contract. This was pulled by Councilwoman McCartney.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. This really could have been a question, Jack. This will be the third time that we're extending this. So it's really a question about the rent. Are they paying rent, continuing to pay rent through each extensions? Yes, you're saying yes?
Yeah.
Okay.
whatever's in the original contract, and we put in together. If it's extended, everything's still applies.
Okay, but that's not being negotiated during this contract?
I'm not involved in the negotiations. This is going on with the legal department.
Okay.
My understanding is, I think Mark sent you guys a notice.
I don't, yeah.
I mean, apparently there are discussions relating to the reimbursements for any accessory materials taken in by the recycling center as a result of storm and other events. That's the outstanding element that needs to be negotiated. And it just takes a little longer than perhaps it should. I don't know if it's taking longer than people expected. They've asked for another extension, and it's until February.
That's fine if you're working out the details. I just wanted to make sure that they were continuing to pay the rent. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Madam, yes, sir.
I just want to follow up on that because this is, to me, this is something that's, has not been, excuse me, has not been something I'm very comfortable with. We originally went out competitively bid. We got, I think, one response, response, and in the bid, they basically, the bidder said they wanted to make significant changes in the competitive contract. And I brought this up when it came before the council that it didn't seem like that they could change the terms of a competitively bid contract and then have the town's committee that reviewed this actually recommend it to the council. And to the administration's credit, when that became known, or at least that when I became aware of it, the administration took this off of the agenda, and then we started this succession of extensions. But what I'm trying to figure out is where we're going with what appeared to be a competitive contract. It sounds like now we're negotiating the terms of the contract, or the bid specifications. Is that what we're doing? Are we?
Now, the bottom line is when you do bid specifications and you hire someone, then you have to do a contract with that company or that person. So what they're doing now is they're negotiating the contract based on the bid specifications.
Okay. And I left out a key element here, which was that these guys brought up allegations or alleged that they were due several $100,000 because they took organic materials from the town that they said were not, should have been reimbursed to them under the existing contract. So we gave them 2 years free rent. And now they're want to put that material or that contract language in the contract. That's what I'm getting the impression from what you're saying. Is that what's being discussed? Is what happens if we have another storm?
I'm not sure what they're discussing. The legal department is doing this with our recycling. I can't remember his name. Wayne DeFeo.
Wayne DeFeo.
So they're negotiating the contract. Like I said, once you get the bid and you hire the company, then you negotiate a contract. So they're out there negotiating the contract. Now, according to this memo that Mr. Moon sent out today, the last sentence says the discussions relate to the reimbursements for any excess materials taken in by the recycling center as a result of storm and other events. So I'm assuming that's what they're talking about.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Sears.
Sure.
Okay. Madam Clerk?
Is there a motion to adopt 26-19?
So moved.
Second.
Councilwoman Castellino?
Yes.
Councilman Krokoviac?
Yes.
Councilwoman Matute Brown?
Yes.
Councilwoman McCartney?
Yes.
Council President Garino.
Yes.
Ordinances on second and final reading, 2558-19, an ordinance amending Chapter 25, Section 47.2 of the revised general ordinances of the township, terms for the zoning board, I believe it was. Yes.
I'll move
Is there a
that.
motion to
So
approve?
moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Councilwoman Castellino?
Yes.
Councilman Krokoviac?
Yes.
Councilwoman Matute Brown?
Yes.
Councilwoman McCartney?
Yes.
Council President Garino.
Yes. Any members of the public wishing to speak upon ordinance 2558-19? I close public comment. Any of my colleagues wishing to speak on the ordinance 2558-19?
It's just a housekeeping item. Maybe just explain it's a housekeeping item to line up the dates of our appointments.
I beg your pardon?
Just explain to the public, it's a housekeeping item. I'm sorry, I thought the council president was going to explain it. It's a housekeeping item to line up our appointments to the calendar year.
Correct.
Yes.
Thank you.
Is there a motion to adopt 2558-19?
So moved.
Councilwoman Castellino?
Yes.
Councilman Krokoviac?
Yes.
Councilwoman Matute Brown?
Yes.
Councilwoman McCartney?
Yes.
Council President Garino.
Yes.
Ordinance is on first reading, 2559-19, an ordinance amending Chapter 25, Sections 46.2, 46.5, and 46.6 of the revised general ordinances, planning board terms. Is there a motion to introduce on first reading?
So moved.
Second.
Councilwoman Castellino?
Yes.
Councilman Krokoviac?
Yes.
Councilwoman Matute Brown?
Yes.
Councilwoman McCartney?
Yes.
Council President Garino.
Yes.
Did you want to explain this same housekeeping type issue, moving
Yes.
it from July 1st to January 1st?
For the planning board.
Is it for planning board?
For
Planning
appointments,
board
correct.
And this just reflects several years ago, we moved our election dates from May to November. And so now we're just basically updating the terms of these appointments because some of them are pegged to the election date, and not so much the election date, but when council people and the mayor take office.
Correct. 2560-19, an ordinance amending Chapter 2, Sections 8.9, 55.3, and 55.6, and Chapter 25, Sections 32.7, 47.5, and 47.6 of the revised general ordinances, updating of appointments from July 1st to January 1st.
This housekeeping was right.
This is basically for everyone else beside the planning board and the zoning
It was
board.
much better said than I did.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there a motion to approve on first reading?
So moved.
Second.
Councilwoman Castellino?
Yes.
Councilman Krokoviac?
Yes.
Councilwoman Matute Brown?
Yes.
Councilwoman McCartney?
Yes.
Council President Garino.
Yes.
Pending matters, new matters, council discussion.
None? Okay. Madam
Well-
Clerk, anybody have?
Well,
Well, my pending matter was if Mr. Sayers, you could just look into that issue I mentioned when we talked about the moving of the
Parking lot at the
basketball court.
substation.
I know it's a tough one for you to go back to the mayor and the police department, but I think it's time we have to have that discussion. Thank you.
Well taken. Okay. Anybody else?
ABC hearing none. Adjournment, is there a motion to adjourn?
Can I get a word in
Oh,
before you?
absolutely, Mr. Kaiser.
Good night.
Thanks,
First
Dad.
of all, I just want to join with whoever asked that it be made cooler in here, because it's as hot now as it was during the zoning board meeting. It's ridiculous. It's like somebody got to turn the heat down. It's awful. But I just want to alert all of you, you'll recall, and Councilwoman Matute Brown wasn't here, obviously, but we had awarded tentatively a new hotel liquor license for the Cambria Suites Hotel, subject to the normal police investigation. We thought that I prepared an ordinance for tonight to actually issue that license, anticipating that the police department would have completed its investigation and given us a report to that effect. They have not been able to do that because some items were gathered from another state, sent to Trenton. We haven't got a response back from Trenton yet. But we do anticipate that they may come in any day now. So what we're gonna be doing is giving you folks a call and doing a roll call vote, basically, by telephone or by email. So I'd ask that you to be alert and to respond quickly, because they suffer some financial penalty if they're not open by, I think January 31st, because of terms they have with their lender. So I don't want to be the cause, or I don't want us to be the cause of them suffering that penalty. It's a new taxpayer in town, a new place to go, and we certainly want to do whatever we can to be business friendly to them. So just be on the lookout. Karen will be either calling or sending an email. We hope.
Good.
And a text.
Yes.
Until I get
And then we will ratify we'll formally do this resolution at the next meeting.
Okay.
So, Mr. Kaiser, as long as we're here, did we explain to the public and whoever's going to see this what we're actually talking about? It's a liquor license for the new hotel over in Essex, off of Essex Green, off of Rooney Circle, and because of, just correct me whenever I go on too much or get something wrong, we basically set the state law allows us, the governing body, to actually set a minimum amount for the liquor license. We set the minimum amount for, I think it was $50,000, and we got it. But this has been something that's stretched on for months and months, and it was actually a good thing for the town because we could have set the minimum much less than $50,000. But now we've got to close the loop, and so they can open and start serving liquor by the drink.
Yes, it's something you do as the ABC board, not as the council.
Yeah.
So I just want to alert you to the fact that we hope that we get approval in the next few days, and you're going to be asked to vote.
And the hotel itself hasn't opened yet, correct?
Well, the hotel
Yeah.
can't open until they have building inspection done and the health inspection done. I think
Yeah.
the health inspection has been done. I think the building inspection has not quite yet been done.
That's correct.
Again, we hope that gets done on a timely basis as well, but I'm only dealing with what'll happen is if you vote to approve the issuance of the license, the clerk will hold the license in
Yeah.
escrow until all the inspections
The
have been
CO,
done,
yeah. Right.
certifications have been issued, then she releases the license to the licensee, and they can actually open.
Sounds like a no-brainer.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The meeting is adjourned.
Good night, West Orange. Thank you very much. Everybody keep warm, and we'll see you at our next council meeting. Thank you, my colleagues. Have a good evening, West Orange.